Kultaalla lakukastike maistuu parhaalta. Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SportsGamer. My name is Tuki, and this is the Wraparound, the show where we go through all of the action throughout the ECL and our 5 tiers. Now, we have a lot to get to here, as always, when you're talking about 5 different tiers, and there's a chance I'm coming down with a cold and the throat's not feeling too great. So, what do you say we get right down to business? Let's kick things off here. As we always do, the top tier, the best of the best, it is our elite division. And of course, I'll mention it right off the top here. All of this, in terms of the elite division season that we're talking about, is leading to our live final this upcoming February. Again, an attendable event at Assembly in Helsinki. If you are a licensed player, you can also pick up a free ticket. More info on that right here on the sportsgamer.gg website. But let's take a look here. Of course, a 30-game regular season, some teams with 18 games played, some with as few as 12. So I'm going to continue to sort by the point-per-game pace. And that means for the 3rd straight week, we have Parasite as the #1 team in the Elite Division, as they maintain the highest goals for per-game pace in the league for the 3rd straight week. Rising from a 4 to a 5 and now to a 5.43. So it's arguable they're getting even better, which is a scary, scary thought. They also have the lowest goals against per game average in the league for the 2nd week in a row at a 1.36. The top power play percentage once again, and now it is down from a 66.67, but still a very impressive near 53%. And of course, they still maintain the top penalty kill and the top face-off percentage. Granted, this is also down about 4.5%. In terms of the individuals, there's a lot to talk about here with this group, but we have to start off with Vatu, who goes from 4th to 1st in league scoring, now with 57 points, and from being tied for 4th place in goals to outright in 1st with 30. He has been simply unbelievable, and who knows, perhaps the record for most goals in a season could be in jeopardy. Nicky Dangles goes from 1st to 2nd in scoring with 50 points, is still tied for 9th in goals with 16 on the season. Benito continues to heat up as the season goes on, goes from 6th in scoring to 3rd, now with 43 points. He was also 7th in goals, down to 9th, but still over a goal per game pace. And on the defensive side, still worth talking about, of course, Teemu goes from 3rd to 1st in defensive scoring, now with 30 points on the season, and from 1st to 2nd in defensive goals with 7. And Tombo joins the conversation as well. He was a little bit overshadowed in regards to these high-end points, in the production of his teammates, but he is now 2nd in defensive scoring with 23 points. Shows how good Teemu has been, of course, this season. Has as many assists as Tombo does points. And then, of course, the goaltenders as well. Let's talk about Finsere. From 4th place to 1st in outright save percentage. Straight 8s, of course. And he also has the lowest goals against average at a 1.0. While Nike, he does drop out of the top 5 in save percentage, but he has the 4th highest goals against average in the league. Obviously, it is an embarrassment of riches for Parasite, and as a result, they still find themselves in 1st place. But there is a new team in 2nd, moving up 1 spot. It is Mustaa, maintaining their perfect penalty kill and riding the wave of just tremendous play from 3 players in particular. Obviously, if you're in 2nd, the team's looking good across the board. But we need to talk about Aro, going from 3rd to 5th in scoring and falling from 1st to 2nd in goals, but still 37 points in 12 games is outstanding. You have Mise on the defensive side of things, still top 5 in defensive scoring with 18 points. And then, of course, in goal, I said we'd be mentioning him quite a bit, and indeed we are. It's Latve, who is 5th in save percentage at an 83%. Mustaa have been outstanding. I mean, as the season's gone on, and a well-earned, well-deserved second-place pace at the moment, but they do have some tough competition. Totarit are also on the rise. After week number 1, they were in 7th. For week 2, they were in 4th, and now here in week 3, up into 3rd on point pace. That despite having the most penalty minutes in the elite division of any team. Of course, they have played 18 games, but worth keeping that in mind. In terms of their key players, we are looking at Profilipaki, moving from 8th to 4th in scoring and is in 3rd place in goals with 22 on the season. You have Oyala, still in the top 10 in scoring as well. No longer top 10 in terms of goals, but if anything, that's impressive that they were still able to move up given those circumstances. Sega Sormi on the defense, 3rd in defensive goals with 5. Has lost the shot blocking crown, though, for the first time this season, but makes up for it being tied for 1st in passing among all players at 88%. So tremendous stuff there. And then, of course, in goal, it's Stammer, who has the most goaltending wins of anybody with 13. He has the most saves of anybody with 214. He is 2nd in the league in save percentage and top 5 in goals against average. If you're looking at a key player to point out for Totarit, I think the nod has to go to the goaltenders. So again, Mustaa, Totarit on the rise, both looking strong, while Voittamaton fall 2 spots down to 4th place after winning just 5 of their last 10 games. And it's a little bit surprising because in terms of any of the team stats, nothing stands out necessarily in terms of being the best or the worst. In terms of the performances, you have Eki still being top 5 in scoring with 37 points. Tempinen moves up to top 7 in scoring and is still top 5 in terms of goals. Jamal the Man on the defensive side of things, still top 5 in defensive scoring. And then in goal, Hanselinho has still been incredibly solid. 4th in save percentage, is tied for 2nd in goals against average, and is also tied for 1st in shutouts with 3 in 12 games. So things are still looking pretty good for Voittamaton. I mean, it's a team that, hey, if they slip up, you still expect them to be able to make a run in the playoffs. But in terms of that point pace, they have been caught by the likes of Totarit and Mustaa. And we'll see if they can kind of get back on track after, again, going 500 over their last 10 games. You have Polski boys holding down their spot in 5th. Let's talk about 2 key players for them. First and foremost, their leading scorer, Tunkelia, who is now tied for top 5 in goals on the season with 18. But yet again, we have to shout out a goaltender, and this time it is Mestari Tiku, 3rd in goals against average, and is also tied for 1st in shutouts with 3 on the season. So another good week for Polski boys to hold down a top 5 position where some other teams who were in a similar ranking started to fall down a little bit. We'll talk about them in a moment. But we have yet another team on the rise, and that is Goons moving up 2 spots into 6th place. They are no longer the most penalized team in the league, despite maintaining the most hits of any team with 431. But with most of their players, if not all of their players, there is something to mention here. Let's talk about Kanerty. From being unranked to being tied for top 10 in scoring, still maintains the most hits in the league of anybody. Kontala, still top 9 in goals with 16. Lexa, I mentioned no longer being the most penalized team. Lexa is no longer the league leader in penalty minutes, so that certainly helps to have your center out there. Easy Just Sniper from unranked to 4th in defensive scoring with 19 points and is 1st in defensive goals with 8 after scoring 5 goals this week as a defender. Tremendous stuff there. And Sisu is also top 5 in scoring amongst defenders with 18 points. And then in goal, Circula has been tremendous. 3rd in save percentage in the league with an 8-5-1 record. You certainly do not look at any of the struggles for Goons this season as a goaltending issue. And here they are continuing to rise up the ranks. They're in 6th place right now. This has been one heck of a bounce back for them. On the other hand, we have the Blackjacks, who are still in a decent spot. They're up 2 spots into 7th, but the continued story for them is the slowdown of some of the key players. And we have to start with Kermit, who in the past week has gone from 2nd in scoring down to being tied for 7th. And in terms of goals, went from 3rd place to now being tied for 7th. That pace is continuing the drop, and it could ultimately cost them. They need to kind of figure that out again after a very, very hot start for this offense, which includes psycho skills as well on the defensive side. No longer 1st in points amongst defenders, now down into 3rd, and also no longer the league leader in interceptions. So again, it was a very hot start for the Blackjacks. They got some of their footing back this past week. They've won 6 of their last 10 games, but I think in terms of them getting that breathing room that they're going to be looking for, got to look for a big week from the likes of Kermit, Timothy, Villain, the front 3 of the Blackjacks. And then, right now, if the season were to end, our final playoff team would be Vesapampa, who moved up 5 spots this week. Now, they no longer have the fewest amount of penalties in the league. They do still have the fewest hits as well. The really notable thing for them is the worst penalty kill in the Elite Division at 50%, and none of their scorers are in the top 10. So when I factor in some of those team stats, I mean, outside of the discipline improving, it's a little bit surprising that they've been able to sneak their way up, up the ranks. But that is what an experienced team like Vesapampa can do. So again, if other teams give them that window of opportunity to make a run, we've seen it. They can do so, and they still have only played a 1/3 of their games. Speaking of teams kind of leaving the window of opportunity open, it is Exon in 9th, down 2 spots this week as they continue to struggle to live up to expectations. In terms of their key players, I mean, one's a positive, one's a negative. We have to mention Pikari, who is now the league leader in penalty minutes. Certainly not what I would have expected from him. And Domi, still worth noting that passing percentage, but things just have not quite clicked for Exon. It has been a very surprising turn of events given the talent level of that team. In 10th, we have Mythics up 1 spot this week. I believe I have a typo here, but I'm pretty sure they were up 1 spot this week. Maintaining, though, the league's worst face-off percentage at 43.65%, which is actually up from 41% at the end of week 2. So they are getting a bit better in that regard. Key player for them has to be Koloslav still, who is tied for 9th in goals with 16 on the season. So they are still within striking distance of making it into the playoffs. But again, you have Vesapampa on a hot run. Exon, if they can figure it out, still very much a playoff caliber roster. And then another team that's been figuring it out on the rise as they said they would be. It's Hamo, up 5 spots this week from 16th to 11th. They finally get a power play goal on the season. And in terms of their 2 key players, we have to talk about their captain, Emil. Leading the way, is tied for 7th in goals with 17, and of course leads the team in points with 30. And then speaking of the point, we need to mention on the defensive side, it's Sniperi, who currently leads the league in blocked shots with 24. So very, very good week for Hamo. Are they a bit too far out to be able to make it into the playoffs? It's definitely not out of the question that they could make it, right? If you were talking about the Blackjacks at a 1.5 pace, you're like, okay, they got some work to do. 3 points for a win, though. Blackjacks have 4 games at hand. Things are looking okay. But look at this. I mean, they're on the same point pace as Mythics. They are barely behind Exon. Exon do have 6 games at hand, though. So if Hamo keep up this pace and other teams drop the ball, yeah, they could absolutely recover this season. Even if they were to finish here, I think they'd be happy to not have to battle in a relegation series at the end of the season. And then we have, speaking of avoiding those relegation spots, They're only avoiding it for the moment because we have the Fallon Coal Miners dropping 6 spots from 6th into 12th. Just a gigantic fall off for them with 2 wins in their last 10. On one hand, you have a positive in the form of the captain Furion, who does now lead the league in interceptions with 132. Like, he's doing his job on the back end in terms of disrupting plays, but offensively is where it started to hurt a little bit. You have Smake, still confirmed to be Smake here, now falling out of the top 10 in goals, not too far off of the pace, but nothing really seemed to go right for the Fallon Coal Miners this week. A couple of rough series, and much to the point I was making when talking about Hamo, it does not take much for your fortunes to change for better or for worse. So a really rough week for the Fallon Coal Miners. We'll see if they can bounce back over the course of week 4. Roots Gaming currently find themselves in 13th, dropping 1 spot this week. In terms of a key player from the positive side of things, it is once again Sokolo, who was 2nd, but is now still 4th in goals with 19 on the year. But it's been their defense and their goaltending where they have really struggled, particularly in goal. Yantes has allowed the most goals against in the league for any goaltender and is only at a 72% save percentage. Roots have to figure things out defensively, or they are going to find themselves in a rough spot as they are currently under that point per game pace. Tiki Talk hold their position in 14th. They also hold their position as having the worst goals against per game rate at a 4.07, which is up from 3.83. As you can see, just 1 win in their last 10 games. It was a rough week. But in terms of talking about the team, at least the current version of the team, we have It's Party Time leading the way in points for them, going from unranked to being tied for top 7 in overall point production. Tamex unranked to being top 9 in goals with 16. And then, you get a look at maybe some of the issues that they had, which was the defense and the goaltending, as Bise drops out of the top 5 in save percentage. Now, I kind of mentioned, right? Hey, was it the defense? Was it the goaltending? Well, they made a play here at our trade or transfer deadline, should I say. And it was a big play depending on how available he is going to be, as Puwanzo has transferred over, having last played for Strikers in spring of 24. But again, he is, as I've mentioned so many times, if you have been a long-time member here, he is one of the better players this league has ever seen. He is a Season 1 original, and it does not take much to scroll through here and see the point production in the past and to see what Tiki Talk would have been attracted to, particularly here with his last full season with the, at the time, Strikers squad from this past spring. How much he'll play? Don't know. I hope for their sake he plays a lot, because he is, again, an absolutely phenomenal player. And then, of course, in 15th, it is Reniscore holding their position. It is their 3rd straight week, though, with the lowest goals for per game pace at just a 1.6. Positively for them, they no longer have the worst goals against per game average, unless something. Oh man, actually, there was a game that came in. Never mind, they did. Well, no, they don't, because of TikTok. Never mind. I was gonna say I saw the 3.69 for Roots, and I'm like, uh-oh, was there another team? But no. And hey, that's the illness talking, but that's okay. For Reniscore, at least again, they no longer have that average. They are still the only team without a power play on the season, or at least with the power play goal. So that's a bit surprising. We'll see what they are able to do. Just 1 regulation win in 10 games. And then, of course, Unwanted automatically relegated following their league admin decisions. So a decent amount of movement throughout the elite division, as again, a lot of teams now are over that halfway point and heading into the second half of the season. It's not too late to change your fortunes, but it is around this time that you start to see kind of where the chips may fall by the end of those 30 games. It's not too late, but time is ultimately running out. But again, the end of the day, top of the board is probably what matters the most, and it is Parasite maintaining that number 1 spot for the 3rd week in a row. Up next, let's talk about the 2nd tier. It is our Pro Division. in the ECL ladder as we take a look at group number 1 to kick things off. And again, going off of our point per game pace gives us a little bit better of a picture before the season's towards its end. And it is the Gotham Knights moving up 2 spots to claim the best points pace in the first group at the very least. Fresh off of still a 100% penalty kill as well. And that's kind of the story. It's been their defense. It's been their goaltending, because I've mentioned him quite a few times as well. It is Kusan, who is currently second in pro in save percentage at an 86.06%. So a good week for the Gotham Knights to move up 2 spots off the back of, again, solid defense and goaltending. Zenigame fall down into a tie for second with D-Lock, where they held first place for the first 2 weeks, but key players for them have continued to be overtaken on the leaderboards. So maybe not too surprising to kind of see them fall a little bit. We'll see if they can bounce back. They are tied for second place with D-Lock, who have moved up 4 spots from 6th. Second straight jump of at least 3 spots over the last 2 weeks. They are no longer tied for the league's top power play, or the group's top power play, I should say. But obviously, another big jump up like that is very impressive for them. So Zenigame struggling to hold on to that top spot. Gotham Knights overtake them, and then all of a sudden, D-Lac's in that conversation as well. We'll see what happens. For Blackbirds, they are in 4th, falling 2 spots down the order. They do still have the group's best face-off percentage at 53.3%. And it is worth noting, key player for them has to be Almio, who continues to step up. He is now 3rd in pro in goals with 25 in 18 games. So they did start to fall a little bit, but they do still have some strong performances. But again, when you have Gotham Knights winning 8 of their last 10, same for D-Lock, all of a sudden 6 out of your last 10, you're falling behind the pace a little bit. So just goes to show the competition level here in Group 1. In 5th place, holding their position, is the Old Timers, second week in a row on the 5th best points pace, even though, of course, right now they are technically number 1 in the league, but with 22 games played. Key men for them, in a positive sense, it has to be goaltender T. Salino, who we have mentioned quite a few times now, has the most goalie wins in pro with 13, and is tied for first in shutouts with 4, but he's had those 4 shutouts since week number 1, and that maybe kind of goes to show, like, okay, you know, where they've been at for the past couple of weeks as key player for them. And maybe a more negative sense is Yapi Koita, who falls a little bit off the goal-scoring pace, is still nearly a goal per game, but you have some other players in pro that have continued to take that big-time step up. So not a bad situation for the Old Timers to be in, but they do need to step it up just a little bit more, especially with just a few games to go compared to other teams, if they are going to find themselves as one of the top seeds out of group number 1. 6th place, we have Nova moving up 1 spot this week off the back of 2 strong performances. The first has to be Nistor at the top. Big week for him. Now second in scoring with 47 points and first in the league in goals with 27. And on the defensive side of things, King of Apes moves from 5th to 1st in defensive point scoring and is now tied for 3rd in goals amongst defenders with 6. That is the type of performance that you would expect to see from King of Apes, who, again, is an elite level defender, certainly. Not just for Pro Division, but, again, an elite level defender in general. It's a big, big get for this Nova team to have him, but given that they're only in 6th place, they still have some other things, clearly, that they need to work on, but progress for this week. In 7th place, falling down 3 positions, is Otuksit, no longer having the lowest goals against average in the group. They do still have the best power play percentage, however, but in terms of why they might have fallen, it's not a guarantee to be obviously the key reason. Miguli, though, has fallen off of the goals pace that he had in prior weeks. And as well, maybe someone like Persuiti not making as much of an impact on the ice, at least from a physical standpoint, as he did happen to be up there for most hits, and now obviously is completely overshadowed by his own teammate in Miguli, amongst others in the league. So worth keeping an eye out on them after a rough week with just 4 wins out of their 10 games. And last but not least, in those current playoff spots, it is Devils holding 8th for the second week in a row, winning 5 of their last 10 games. Couple of drop-offs for them as well in terms of performance, as Bogomir no longer tied for the most penalty minutes. That's a positive, but then Curia drops out of the top 5 in terms of goals pace. Still has 15 and 16, but maybe not quite getting to play their game the way they'd want to play it, but still getting results at the same time. Not a bad spot to be in. We have Exa in 9th, currently up 1 spot from last week. They do maintain the highest goals for per game pace in the group. Actually went up a little bit from last week, and they no longer have the most penalties in the group. Positives for them, certainly. Key players, I mean, it's been 2 that we've talked about all season long. Adri is up there. He was first, but is now tied for 3rd in scoring and is outright in 2nd place for goals, while Vinci is still top 5 in scoring, but the goals pace has dropped just a little bit. But those 2 continue to propel Exa into the conversation, but they got to be careful, obviously. 18 games now, a little bit behind the pace of some other teams that have games at hand. Below them, we have Kumanelta Klubele. As they move up 1 spot into 10th, they maintain their perfect penalty kill on the season, and, hey, they had to put it to the test a little bit more. They no longer have the fewest penalty minutes in group number 1. So we'll see what happens for them moving forward, but they are, of course, still within striking distance of a playoff spot. SSK Esports also move up a position in the standings this week while maintaining the worst penalty kill in group number 1. And, 5 wins in their last 10 is not too bad either, when a key player in Yoyep had his goal-scoring pace fall off a little bit. He was tied for 1st in goals, no longer, but again, they were still finding ways to win and keeping their name and themselves in that potential playoff conversation. Down in 12th, also moving up a spot, is Nordic Stars. That, despite having and maintaining the worst face-off percentage in the league, although it did go up nearly a full point from 44 to 45%, they have as well maintained the most hits in the group for the 3rd straight week as well. An incredibly physical team. Key player for them currently on the roster, we have to shout him out again, someone else with elite experience. It's Katanarski, as he is tied for 1st in blocked shots on the season and is still 1st in defensive goals, having scored 2 this week to push his mark up to 8. But I mentioned him as an active player because they have just gotten a new addition. And granted, he has played 2 games already, 6 points. Yerax is back. Longtime member of this team, but activated before the transfer window closed. That's a big addition for them, and clearly, a sign of intent of like, okay, hey, we're not still out of this. We can still make a strong push. And indeed, they could. It is a very talented roster, a very, very tough group, as evidenced by Vizio, who continue to slowly improve, up 2 spots this week, now into 13th. Might be out of range for them to get into a playoff spot, but is out of the question that they could finish above the potential drop zones. I don't think so. I think they could very much make it out. Deadly Phantoms, on the other hand, who have played 4 more games than Vizio, they hold in 14th. The good news is they finally did get a power play goal, but they have the most penalty minutes taken in the group, and they no longer have the best face-off percentage in the group. Not to mention, key player for them, and it's a positive, but it's not. And it's RPH, who has the most saves in all of the pro division, which means he is facing a lot of rubber as this season goes on. Again, it has been just a really rough season for Deadly Phantoms. I certainly didn't expect this, but again, the competition level is so high that, there's always the chance that good teams could end up performing poorly. In the drop zones, we have Mites moving up one spot into 15th. They do maintain the worst goals for per game pace in the group at a 2.28, which is actually slightly up from last week. And then the Serpents, a bit of a free fall this week, dropping down 7 spots from number 9 all the way down to 16. And of course, they have still yet to get that power play opportunity. So we'll see when it comes to these teams at the bottom. There is still time, but obviously you see teams with 20 games played were over that halfway point. In terms of group number 2, though, surprise, surprise, for the third straight week, it is No Street Sports at the top. It is their third straight week with the highest goals for per game pace in the group, which is actually down a little bit from last week. They still maintain the highest power play percentage in the group, but funny enough, it's the lowest PK percentage in the group as well at 44%, which is actually down from 50% last week. Now, you could argue it's because they have the fewest PIMs in the group, so they're barely on the kill, but maybe that's a bit of an Achilles heel for them, especially too when they're no longer the most physical team in the group either. But key players for them, we have 3 of them to point out. Their top scorer, Toivon, now first in the league in scoring with 49 points, up from 38 last week, and has taken the league lead in hits with 175. Atzes moves from 4th to 3rd in defensive scoring, now on 25 points, and Tapu is 2nd in goals amongst defenders with 7. So No Street continue to do incredibly well. They've won 9 out of the last 10 games and certainly look like a championship favorite heading towards the playoffs. You have Björklöven Esports holding their position in 2nd. 2 key players for them to talk about. We've talked about Alpha Borea quite a bit, and we will again as they are still tied for 5th in goals with 22 on the season. And maybe one of their issues, some of the penalties sometimes. Vilpejuna no longer tied for the most penalties in the league, which was shocking, given that, they only played 6 games so far in the year, and maybe that's part of the reason as to why the Pims have recovered a little bit. In 3rd, we have the Herlev Eagles up 2 spots from 5th. They've moved up 6 spots in total over the last 2 weeks, and it is certainly because of the lowest goals against per game average in the group at a 1.79. And on top of that, we have to shout out goaltender Provocacia, who with the 10 games started is 3rd in pro in save percentage at an 8.55. So they are doing a really strong job on the defensive side of things, are the Herlev Eagles, and it's working out well for them. They have also won 9 of their last 10 games. Poggers hold their spot in 4th. They no longer have the top power play percentage in the group, but they are still getting some big performances from the offensive side of things. Their leading scorer, Jakari, is currently tied for 3rd in scoring with 46 points, while Lorenhavi is 2nd in defensive scoring with 26 points on the season. And worth noting for them as well, while he has not started a game, and we'll see if he plays at all, they have acquired Sundstrom before the transfer deadline, last playing for Gotham Knights this past spring, ultimately in a season where they were relegated. But you can look at some of the numbers here from Sundstrom and what they were capable of doing. And honestly, being that close to an 80% save percentage for a team that got relegated really isn't that bad. And then you look back at some of the pro division numbers in the past, and yeah, depending on how many games are played, certainly a name and a team to keep an eye out on. In 5th place, up 3 spots this week, Isman Valinta, a key player for them, a bounce-back performance. It has to be on the defensive side again in the form of Luki, who is now tied for 3rd in defensive goals with 6 on the season. Hot start in week 1, cooled off a bit in week 2. Good bounce-back performance there. In 6th place on points pace, Ruftik up 4 spots this week. Key player for them has to be Limbe, now 4th in goals in the league with 24 and leading the way for that particular club in point production. So a very strong week for them, winning 7 of 10 games. In 7th place, it is Avalanche, up 4 spots from 11th. No longer the fewest PIMs in the group, but they do have some positive signs on both sides of the puck. We have to talk about their current second leading scorer in Turtu, who is tied for 5th in goals in the league with 22, and then Balbaz as well, who leads the pro division in interceptions. So they are getting some positive results on both sides of the puck, as mentioned. And then currently in that last playoff spot, it is Aspire down 2 positions into 8th with just 4 wins in their last 10 games. Not a great week, but still in a solid position. Just on the outside looking in, we have in 9th, HC Lugano Esports, down 6 spots this week, losing their perfect penalty kill as well. Just 4 wins in their last 10. Very, very rough week for them. While below them, you have the Finnish Roosters, who are on the rise, up 2 spots this week, despite being the least physical team in the group, but they are playing good defense. Ernati is tied for first in block shots with 25 on the season. And then star man for them this year, it has to be Keskitalo, who has moved from 2nd to 1st in save percentage in the pro division, also sporting the lowest goals against average, and is tied for 1st in shutouts with 4. So the Roosters got to make the most of a goaltending effort like that. We'll see kind of what the breakdown ends up being in terms of the goaltending, and if they kind of break up the amount of starts that Keskitalo is getting. He has played 4 games as a skater this season. Below them and dropping 4 spots in 11th, it is the Golden Sticks. They do maintain the fewest goals for per game, unfortunately for them, but they no longer have the best goals against average either. So that's really kind of an issue, right? Like the goal scoring is technically going up. It's still the lowest, but technically going up, while the goals against average started to rise a little bit. They did finally get a power play tally, which is really nice. It is, of course, still the lowest percentage in the group. And then on the positive, they maintain the top face-off percentage in the group, although it has dropped by 2%. So they are just a very weird club to watch. They dropped 4 spots as a result. There's just been these inconsistencies for the Golden Sticks throughout the season. Red Bull Munich Esports find themselves in 12th after dropping 3 spots this week. They do still maintain a 100% penalty kill, but they have the lowest face-off winning percentage in the group. Their discipline's gotten a little bit better. Domi no longer tied for the most PIMs, but clearly that's not enough, as again, they have fallen 3 spots. The Nuremberg Ice Tigers, up 1 spot this week into 13th. They've no longer taken the most penalties in the group. And yet again, we have to mention some of these defensive efforts and kind of being key players for them. In fairness, I didn't look up how to say this name ahead of time, but hey, tied for 3rd in defensive goals with 6. I'll put some respect on your name next week if you keep up this pace. In 14th, Cheeky Grinders down 1 spot. Not too much to say for them, just 3 wins in their last 10. Afterlife hold their position in 15th, now having taken the most penalty minutes in the group, and then Refuse to Lose also hold their position in 16th, maintaining the highest goals against average in the group at nearly 5. It was a 5.25 at the end of week 2. They no longer have the worst face-off percentage in the group. They are the most physical team in the group as well, but they have been taking some penalties. Sonny with the most penalty minutes in pro, and Logie dropping in goal-scoring pace. Again, they were put into a very tough position where they knew the odds were against them heading into the season after a very late qualifier. It has been tough for them. Is there a chance they can make it out of that drop zone? It's looking slim, and I'm sure they know that, but chin up, keep doing what you have to do, get through these games, get that experience, and then realize, okay, if we want to take that step up, here's what we have to do in the future. But that is the pro division. Again, teams like No Street Sports still looking really, really good. Heading over now to our light division. We kick things off, of course, at the top with group number 1, where there is a new leader. Puck over glass, moving up 3 spots off the back of finally getting a power play goal. But they do have the best goals for per game pace in the group at a 4.3, while maintaining the best face-off percentage at over 59%. So a big week for them, winning 8 out of 10 games. Mudu Hockey holding their spot at second. They no longer have the highest goals for per game pace, of course, nor do they have the most hits in the group. But again, it's still been a strong campaign for them through 13 games. And speaking of holding position for the 3rd straight week, Farmalaget in 3rd place, winning 6 of their last 10. You have the German Ice Gladiators moving up 1 position into 4th place, 7 wins in their last 10, not too bad. And the DEG Esports up 3 positions this week, taking the outright lead in terms of having the best goals against average at a 1.92, was a 2.0 last week. They have missed out on the top power play spot, but they still have the best penalty kill in the group, and key player for them, of course, you know me, we love to shout out goaltenders around here. Miyaza, 3rd in save percentage in Olive Pro with an 876 and 2 shutouts. So a good week for DEG Esports. Ace Squad kind of bouncing back a little bit, moving up 1 position. They do maintain, though, the worst goals against average in the group at a 3.93, but that number's improving. It was a 4.4 last week, and they're improving on the faceoffs as well. They no longer have the worst winning percentage there. They are the least physical team in the group, but 4 wins in their last 10, still good enough to move up 1 position this week. HC Videlma dropping down 1 spot into 7th, despite winning 7 of their last 10 games. But hey, these things can happen. I don't know what else to tell you. Of course, obviously the pace is very close between them and A Squad. They have played 2 more games than A Squad thus far. And then in 8th, Collicott Esports, of course, hadn't played too many games last week when they technically moved up in the 1st. They dropped down 7 positions. No longer are they tied for the best goals against average in the group. No longer do they have the fewest penalty minutes. They have still yet to score a power play goal, and they have the worst face-off percentage in group number 1. So we'll see. They still got quite a few games to make up, having just played 8 on the season. They're kind of the wild card for this particular group. Team Infernus move up 1 spot to number 9, now rocking a 30% power play top in the group, while the Black Sharks move down 10, or from number 9 to number 10, just 1 spot for them. They didn't move down 10 spots. They are, of course, the most physical team in the group with 340 hits. The Carolus Icemen hold their spot at number 11, still sporting the worst goals for per game in the group at a 2.13. They also have the worst penalty kill in the group at 62.5%, despite having the fewest amount of penalties. So figure that one out. Key player for them, though, worth pointing out, is once again Ekison, with 6 goals, is 3rd amongst all defenders in the pro division. And of course, our final team at the bottom holding their spot, it is SSK Academy. They no longer have the worst goals for per game in the group, but they do still have the most penalty minutes, with key player being tied for the league lead in penalty minutes, that being Foxen. So something's got to give. And actually, I don't even well, it might have been Fox Flyers, the different name. But indeed, yeah, penalties have been a bit of a problem for SSK Academy as the season has gone on. Let's go down to group number 2. At the top, it is Toe Cuckoo moving up 2 positions to reclaim the number 1 spot that they held at the end of week 1. They are now the outright leaders in terms of having the best goals against average in the group at a 1.59. The PK is no longer perfect, but on the bright side, they still have the fewest amount of PIMs in the group. They still have the most hits as well. So a very physical team, but taking very few penalties. And they are seeing success on both sides of the puck. Yusa Solo went from tied for 4th in scoring to 1st with 64 points and is also first in goals with 42 in 17 games. Absolutely stellar. While Teemu Underdog is second in league scoring with 60 points. And then we mentioned him before. We got to mention him again. Bobby Python tied for first in goalie wins with 14 and is first in save percentage with an 884. So things looking good for the Group 2 leaders. Project X move up 2 positions into second place. No longer the top power play percentage in the group, and in part, that is because of Tespo's scoring pace dropping a little bit. Still looking good, though. I mean, 24 goals leading his team. That's still a very respectable number. And at the same time, 9 wins in their last 10, and they moved up into second place. So, you know, some scoring dips in certain ways, but they're still looking really, really good. Rudy find themselves in third, dropping 1 position, but they are still the special teams kings right now. The top power play percentage in the group, the top penalty kill in the group. And in terms of key players for this week, well, it's the goaltending here. Temeti tied for first in wins with 14. In terms of something to look to see if it improves, Antico, 26 goals in 18 games. Very good, but they were on a higher scoring pace than that, and it dropped a little bit, which is crazy because it's still a 53% shooting percentage. Just kind of goes to show how tough of a race that is, especially when the leader has 43 damn goals, or 42, excuse me. I don't want to overhype USA too much. In fourth place, HC Pustertal Esports, having dropped down 3 positions from the 1 spot. They are no longer tied for the best goals against average in the group. Primary reason for that, whether or not you want to blame the defense, the goaltending, a combination of the two, but they did see Ruzakuza's numbers drop just a little bit. So some defensive / goaltending concerns for Pustertal, but still 6 wins in their last 10 games. They're still looking really, really good. SCB Esports hold their position. No, they don't. There were some late games filed in. That's what happened. Well, then. Actually, I went out of order. There you go. I'm leaving this in. It's fine. I don't have time to edit when I'm sick. It's all good. Vitos Vicha hold their spot in 5th, while SCB Esports hold their spot in 6th. For Vitos Vicha, they maintain the best goals for per game average in the group at a stellar 5.13, which is up from a 4.67, but they have only played 8 games. While for SCB Esports, it's the penalties that might come to haunt them, as Error Victim is tied for the most penalty minutes in the league with 24. So keep an eye out on SCB and what they might be able to do from a discipline standpoint. Woodhands move up 4 spots into 7th place, finally scoring a power play goal, and they have the best face-off percentage in the group. While Coup de Grace drop 1 spot, they no longer have the worst penalty kill in the group, but they also no longer have the top face-off percentage in the group, while having the most penalties and having the worst power play. You can kind of see where some of their struggles are with just 3 wins in their last 10 games. Worth noting for them, key player, again, have to shout out a defenseman here. It is Iron Fist, first in goals amongst defenders with 9, but clearly it has played games at forward as well. 3 goals on defense this week after being goalless in week 2, which was probably playing forward for the majority of that time. It all makes sense now, doesn't it? In 9th place, Ice Baron Lauf Gaming down 1 position this week, which is 3 wins in 10 games, while Kokai Esports also dropped down 1 position with the same exact record. Boomers make it 3 in a row, dropping 1 position. They maintain the worst goals against average in the group, although it is down from a 5.67. They also have the worst penalty kill in the group at 50%. The Iserlohn Roosters esports squad hold for the 3rd straight week in 12th, the least physical team of the group. It is worth noting, though, thankfully for them, they do know how to take face-offs because they no longer have the worst face-off winning percentage in the group. And then at 13th, it is Taisto holding their position, still with the worst goals for average in the group. It is up from a 1.6, but obviously still below a 2. They have the worst face-off percentage in the group, There's a bright side. They no longer have the most penalties, but it's been a rough go for Taisto with just 1 win in 14 games. Group 3 up next. There's a new leader here as well. Hopfen Smoothie HC moving up that 1 spot. Not the most physical team in the group, actually. They're the least physical team in the group. They're also no longer tied for the most goals for per game, and they no longer have a perfect penalty kill, but they've been able to move up. Now, of course, the thing to note here, they only have 8 games played. Will they fall off like other teams that started their season a bit late, or will they be able to maintain it? We'll find out as the season goes on. They're going to be playing a lot of games over the next couple of weeks. We have the Dara Stars down in 2nd. They move up 1 position to take that spot. Only real note for them, they do lose their perfect penalty kill, but 7 wins in their last 10. They're not complaining. Kurtamia Vostan move up 1 position into 3rd place. They have the best goals against average in the group, while also flexing the best penalty kill in the group. Key players for them in terms of the rankings, shouted them out before, but Datsuki has to be mentioned again. 3rd in defensive scoring with 26 points, but is no longer 1st in blocks, while Masamon in goal moves from 4th to 2nd in save percentage. Honestly, stellar, an 8.84, which had an 8.87 at the end of week 2. So goaltending looks to be incredibly solid for Kurtamia Vostan. Only player to really keep an eye out on has to be playmakery. Even though they are 1st in scoring on the team, their points pace actually dropped a little bit. But as I've said for other teams, you won 7 out of your last 10 games, and your top scorer had their pace drop a little bit. You moved up a position, like you're feeling good. That's not something to overly stress about, but is the only real kind of negative to note. Underrated, falling 3 positions from number 1 down to number 4. They went from tied to outright having the best goals for pace in the group at a 4.88, up from a 4.5, but they no longer have the fewest penalty minutes in the group. 2 key players for them. We have Psycho, their leading scorer, now 3rd in the league, 37 points at the end of last week, now on 59, and Zahn is up to 4th in scoring with 58 points and is 2nd in goals with 40. Although no longer tied for the most hits in the league, you're still going to be feeling great about that level of performance. But just 5 wins in their last 10 games. That is something to keep an eye on. The scoring is there. Need to find a way to shore things up defensively and in goal. Sune Iko Esport up 2 spots this week. They do still have the worst penalty kill in the group at a 61%. It actually got a little bit better by 1.5% over the past week. But the flip side is they have the fewest penalty minutes in the group. And because of that, I mean, a big run, 9 wins in their last 10 games. Very, very good for them. Below them in 6th place, Sete Lecarjo up 2 spots this week, and I've mentioned him plenty of times as well, and I will continue to do so because it's an elite level talent that happens to find himself down here at this level, which is, again, a very competitive level, as you've seen, but elite level talents and long-term elite level talents, you favor them to do well, and Antti has done just that. Tied for 4th in scoring with 58 points, 3rd in goals with 37, having only 17 goals at the end of week 2. A 20-goal week for Antti that sees his club move up 2 spots. And Cutter, also 1st in defensive scoring with 29 points. So, and of course, you have Tansky there as well. I mean, they have that elite experience. I'm intrigued to see just how far they can make it. 8 wins in their last 10, but the competition is tough. In 7th place, we have Macho HC falling down 2 spots. They do still have the best power play in the group, but it falls from 41% all the way down to 35%. They still have the best face-off percentage, though, at 58%. Key player for them has to be Dansk, the most blocks in the league right now, and 2nd on the team in scoring with 26 points. So pay attention to them. 8th place, we have the Senioki Noms squad moving up 1 position, 6 wins in their last 10. while in 9th, Saucer Hockey fall down 3 positions. They do have 2 key players to keep an eye out on. Rontasaki, we have to mention again, having the most hits in the league at 172, and Mazu Pizu, very similar to what we said for the Elite Division. On one hand, it's nice to have the most saves. On the other hand, it shows that you are, of course, seeing your team give up a lot of shots. And as a result, Saucer Hockey just on the outside looking in currently. We have Galimus Hockey Krefeld holding their 10th place position for the 3rd week in a row. They now have the outright worst goals against average in the, I was going to say the Pro Division, but in this current division with a 5.43, which is up from a 4.5 the prior week. They also have the most penalty minutes in Group 3, with Red Dragon being tied for the most PIMs at 24. The Moscow Capitals hold in number 11. They lost their picture-perfect penalty kill, but they do have another defender worth pointing out in Akimka, who is currently 2nd in defensive goals with 7. Only scored 1 goal this week, though. And again, for the Capitals, just 1 win in their past 10 games. It's been a rough go, as it has been for Game Over Esports, holding their position in 12th with the worst goals for average in the group at 2.0, yet to get on the board from a power play perspective. They have the worst face-off percentage in the group. They do have the most hits, but that's likely because they don't have the puck too much. At the very least, they no longer have the most penalties, and they no longer have the worst goals against average in the group. But it's been a rough time for Game Over Esports. Group number 4 at the top, we have the Six Sticks Misfits, up 2 positions and 6 spots total over the past 2 weeks. Now with the best goals for per game average, despite being tied for the most penalty minutes in the group. And a part of that is they are the most physical team in the group, but a very strong push for them with 8 wins in their last 10. Same for Kikakiria, with 8 wins in their last 10, holding 2nd place down once again, despite Yimpa's goal-scoring pace dropping. SSK Prospects drop down 2 positions into 3rd. They do still have the best goals against average in the group, as well as the top power play percentage. Couple of key players for them. We need to shout out Victor Hall, once again with the most interceptions in the league, 2nd in defensive scoring with 28 points, but is no longer 1st in blocks. While some other players to keep an eye out on, Lidman in goal, lowest goals against average with a 1.5, and you have the Raws with the most shutouts with 4. So they have gotten some stellar goaltending. 2 players to keep an eye out on. Leading scorer Sveti actually drops in overall goal scoring pace, while Rame drops in defensive scoring pace. So we'll kind of see what happens. It's not overly difficult to see why they would have fallen off the pace just a little bit, with Kikakiria and Six Sticks having a really strong week. But SSK still in a good position. Vita hold their 4th place spot, despite being tied for the most penalty minutes in the group, while including me move up 3 positions. 8 wins in the last 10, despite Lataseva's scoring pace dropping compared to the rest of the league, which sounds crazy because it's 56 points in 18 games. Another one of those stats where it just goes to show you how competitive the leaderboards are in regards to not only team standings, but player stats. The VBO Stars find themselves in 6th, dropping 1 position this week. They no longer have the best goals for pace in the group, nor the most hits, and they're another team where a key player drops in terms of that scoring rank, that being Broer, who does still have 43 points in 14 games. You're not complaining too much about that. Technical Disaster down a spot this week, but they do still maintain a perfect penalty kill while having the fewest penalties taken in the group. Hockeyholics move up 1 position. They no longer have the top power play in the group, but still had a strong week with 6 wins. Pata Halala down 4 positions this week with just 3 wins. Rough go for them. While Hurricanes move up 1 position, having finally gotten a power play goal. The Trojans move up a spot this week after 2 straight weeks in 12th. They find themselves in 11th, while maintaining the worst penalty kill percentage in the group, which did actually go up from 46%. They also have the worst face-off percentage in the group, with it having dropped by about 0.2 of a point. Calipo HC down 2 positions, the least physical team in the group, a winless effort in their last 10 games. Bellissimo, you can say the same thing for them, holding dead last for the 3rd straight week, maintaining the worst goals for average in the group, maintaining the worst goals for average in the group, yet to get a power play tally, but they have the top face-off percentage in the group. It is numbers like that that just do my head in of how, why, how does this make sense? But that is, of course, the current situation going on in our light division. A lot of close races here throughout all of these tiers as we start to begin to focus a little bit more on the playoffs. 3 down, 2 to go. Let's talk about our core division as we kick things off. It is the top of Group 1. And of course, that means Dynamo HC holding down their position with the best goals against average in the group, the best face-off percentage in the group. And in terms of key players, from a negative standpoint, it's Harten, their leading scorer, whose pace falls a little bit behind some of the league leaders, but still very impressive numbers. And then I said we'd be mentioning this guy again. It's Callum in goal, first in the league in save percentage with the lowest goals against average. Tremendous performance there. And certainly a goalie to keep an eye out on as the season continues on. Certainly you have my attention as Dynamo have won their last 10 games. Hiljanen Pikkukaupunki hold their position in second place despite having the most penalty minutes in the group. Aprilia, the most blocks, though, in the league on this defense. And, of course, that goals against average, pretty low, all things considered. They've won 8 of their last 10. The Prowlers move up 1 spot to claim 3rd place while having the best goals for pace in the group. They also have the top power play percentage in the group at 50%. Key player for them that we have to mention one more time, it is their leading scorer in Hanu, who is tied for 2nd in scoring with 58 points and is now 2nd in goals with 37. The Cape Town Kings move up 1 position into 4th place with the top penalty kill in the group while having the fewest penalty minutes, doing themselves a big favor there. And of course, 8 wins in their last 10. Kopibuti up 2 positions into 5th place despite having the worst penalty kill in the group, which actually fell 3 points further down from 58.82% in the past week. Taskubilis in 6th place, down 3 positions this week. They did have the top penalty kill. They do no longer and have won just half of their last 10 games. The Gilligang in 7th, having dropped 1 position. Still the group's most physical team, but they no longer have the most penalty minutes, which is certainly nice. 2 key players for them. It is Vide, who is now 5th in goals with 29, scoring just 2 this week. And then Desautea is now 2nd in scoring amongst defensemen. Just 3 points this week, if I'm not mistaken. It might have actually been 4. I think there's 1 more credited here than I would have seen. So for the Gilligang, 4 wins in their last 10. They need some of those key players again to continue to pick up that scoring pace and hit that next level that a lot of players are able to hit. You have the Raiders moving up 1 position into 8th place with 4 wins in their last 10, while Philippi Parit, I should say, down 1 position. Least physical team in the league, 4 wins in their last 6 games. We'll see if there's a strategy change from them, given you see the amount of hits from other teams around them in the standings. Scrubs hold their position for the 3rd straight week. They are in 10th, still yet to score a power play goal, while Ingolstadt for the 3rd straight week bring up the rear there in 11th, maintaining the worst goals for pace in the group, the worst goals against average in the group, and the worst face-off percentage in the group. It has been a very rough season, still winless now through 16 games. Group number 2, we need to talk about Maitoyuna for the 3rd straight week, holding down that top position with the best goals for per game average in the group, the top power play percentage in the group, and key player Toimi Tatula, third in scoring amongst defenders, now with 28 points after an 8-point week. Big result there as they've been able to get scoring from everybody and have 9 wins in their last 10 games. Nameless move up 1 position to claim second place. They still have the best goals against average in the group, with old Jimmy No Hands being the star player for them, not only leading scorer, but is third in the league in goals with 33 after a 12-goal week. So we've talked about old Jimmy No Hands quite a few times on this show already. They continue to be in the spotlight. The Cost Wolves move down 1 position, no longer boasting the best goals for per game pace in the group. However, a couple of key players here still. We have Skillers as their leading scorer, first in the league in scoring, but only had a 7-point week. They're also first in goals still with 38, but only scored 4 goals this week. You have Marul, who is now tied for second, or still tied for second in scoring with 58 points after an 11-point week. And then in goal, Lazan, still the winningest goaltender in this division. But still for the Cost Wolves, it's interesting, right? Only 6 wins despite that high scoring pace, but it starts to fall a little bit and they drop a position. We'll see if they can get their footing back heading into next week. Armian Curry move up 1 position into 4th place, still maintaining a perfect penalty kill, but no longer with the fewest amount of penalties taken. We'll see how long that 100% can stand given those circumstances, but they do still have the top face-off percentage in the group at 59%. Nordic Nosebleed move up 1 position this week, despite having the most amount of penalty minutes in the group and no longer boasting the top power play percentage. And main reason for that, I would have to say it's got to be the goaltending of Jean Claus. Still second in the league in terms of save percentage, but is a part of a tandem. We'll see what their approach is in regards to availability and what they're able to do in net. Below them, we have Salasiora, down 2 positions this week. Best notable thing for them, finally scored a power play goal. The Reckless Panthers hold 7th place, despite maintaining the worst penalty kill in the group. It actually went up by about 3%. They no longer have the most PIMs in the group, though, which is good. Let's not test that PK too often there. And then Nürnberg Niedhager up 4 positions this week. They no longer have the worst goals for per game pace. Imagine that, scoring more goals, resulting in you moving up 4 positions. Not that difficult to believe, I suppose. Yervan Lieki hold their position in 9th. They still have the worst goals for per game pace in the group. Of course, still yet to get a power play tally, while still having a perfect penalty kill off of the fewest penalties taken in the group. And that is despite, having the fewest amount of hits. So that lack of physicality, not exactly costing them, but they maintain their position. While HC Lisco down 2 spots this week with just 3 wins in their last 10 games. And HC Oviedo, or Ohiveto, I always want to say soccer club. I always think of Real Oviedo, basically. Ohivedo down 1 position this week, maintaining the worst goals against per average in the group at an even 5, the worst face-off percentage in the group at 41%. They are the most physical team, but it hasn't translated to a ton in the way that I'm sure they were hoping. And of course, in the bottom spot, down 1 position this week, Wildcats Esports won with just 2 wins this week. We move on to group number 3. For the 3rd straight week, it is the Silver Sword Griffins leading the way with a group best goals per game average at a 5.0. This despite having the worst penalty kill in the group. It is up 4 points this week, but still, it's a bit surprising. 8 wins in their last 10. It hasn't really cost them. 2 key players for them. Once again, it is Lotminx leading the way, now tied for 2nd in scoring with 58 points after an 18-point week. And Kriteris on the defensive side, now leads all defenders in points with 36, a 12-point week for them. So the Silver Sword Griffins continuing to do well, while Panic on Ice maintain their second place spot. They no longer have the best goals for per game pace in the group, but they do have the best goals against average. They have the top power play. They have the top penalty kill. In terms of key players, Paninen, his pace did drop a little bit relative to the rest of the league, but you're not complaining about 52 points in 14 games from someone with elite experience. Same from Moika, dropped a little bit in terms of pace, but still a very stellar bit of point production from the front three of Panic on Ice. Tarun Gasalit move up one spot this week into third. It is the least physical team in the group, but as a result, fewest amount of penalties, and while maintaining the best face-off percentage in the group. Key player for them, need to point out one more time, Nitti Virta, now tied for first in goals amongst defenders with 9. No longer the league leader in blocks, but again, a good week for Tarun Gasalit. Kella Gold Card move up one position as well, despite maintaining the worst face-off percentage in the group. Rome Urali Mies, fifth in scoring with 57 points. Had a bit of a drop-off after week 2, but a nice little bounce back to be up there on 57 points. And Leviopo is now up there as well. Let's sort that back as they are fifth in goals, tied for fifth in goals with 29 after a 6-goal week. So good run there, and we continue the run of positive improvement. HC Last Resort move up a position this week. 2 players to keep an eye out on. First and foremost, Toliki, fourth in goals with 30 on the season. Essie, though, need to keep an eye out on those PIMs. Now the league leader with 33 penalty minutes in 16 games. In 6th, we have Pulp Odyssey falling down 3 positions after winning just 4 of their last 10 games, while the Backcheck Boys hold their spot in 7th, no longer with the fewest PIMs or hits in the group. Coincidence? Maybe. Mieskisat hold their position as well in 8th place. They do still have the worst goals against average in the group, although it is dropping, while they are also still easily the most physical team in the group, although Kaitsu is no longer the individual league leader in hits. Roadies find themselves once again in 9th, maintaining the worst power play percentage in the group, falling an extra 1%, and as well, most penalty minutes in the group too. Puhas Telia, no longer the league's PIM leader. Yargani, though, maintains the most interceptions, so some bright spots, but yeah, biggest thing for them, gotta stay out of the box in the back half of the season. The Brunker Bulldogs move up one position into 10th place, despite maintaining the worst goals for average in the league at a 1 point, or in the group, I should say, at a 1.67. Positives for them, Varting no longer with the most penalty minutes in the league, and boy, I knew this name at the time. It was going to catch me. Ingel Kotskonung, the most saves in the group, and the most saves in the league, I should say. And we talked about this when going through other groups and other leagues. It's a positive. It's also a negative to show that the team is struggling defensively. And then, of course, the Kurbads Warriors down one position into 11th, winning just 1 of their last 10 games. In group number 4, top of the board, we have Tiki Taka tied for the lead. So Tiki Taka technically holding first place for the 3rd week in a row. They no longer have the best face-off percentage. They no longer have the fewest hits. And we've mentioned Nikoers a couple of times. They are now tied for first in defensive goals with 9 after posting 2 more this week. The team that they are now tied with, though, Lutunokat, moving up 5 positions this week. And it's off the back of 2 key players. Mikihiri, the hit leader in all of our core division here. As my eyes just totally glazed over, 186 hits on the season. And then in goal, someone else you might be familiar with from the elite division, Hiatala, 7 games played, but 3rd in save percentage with an 87.5%. I'm intrigued to see if they can run him for the rest of the season, because clearly it would be a benefit. We also have a tie for third position, both teams at a 1.88 point per game pace. We have Rusty X falling from second, no longer the most physical team in the group. I mean, clearly, but still a good spot after 7 wins in their last 10. And then Skyfall move up 2 positions to move into this 2-team tie for third place. No longer with the best goals for per game pace, but they also no longer have the most penalty minutes taken. So, hey, you take the good with the bad. And then, why not have one more tie at 1.75 points? It is the Carmadillos moving down 2 positions, no longer with the best power play percentage in the group, while the Sopranos fall a position into this tie for 5th place. No longer do they have the best goals against average in the group. Their power play improved, no longer the worst in the group, but they no longer have the fewest penalty minutes in the group. But they no longer have the worst face-off percentage in the group. A lot of taking the good with the bad, which, you know, if you watch The Sopranos, there's a lot of having to take the good with the bad for the greatest television show of all time. Morelli, their key player that I wanted to point out, still 3rd in goals amongst defenders with 7, despite scoring just 1 goal this week. In 7th, we have the Solution holding their position. No longer tied for the best penalty kill, but still at a 94%, but just 2 wins in their last 10 games. HC Ultin Esports holding their position in 8th. They no longer have the worst penalty kill in the group, but 4 wins in their last 10. We have EV Duisburg up 1 position this week, no longer sporting the worst goals against average in the group. While HC Dompa certainly got their season underway, they move up 1 spot into 10th. And then Vita Academy down 2 spots into 11th. They no longer have the worst goals for per game mark in the group, but they're also no longer tied for the top penalty kill and have just 1 win in their last 10 games. That is your look at the core division, which means 1 division or 4 divisions down even. 1 more to go. So here we are. Last but not least, it is our Neo division. Let's kick things off. The top of Group 1 for the 3rd straight week, it is the Ice Raptors. They no longer have the best goals against average in the group. They're not perfect on the PK anymore, but in goal, Tubu continues to do incredibly well, maintaining 3rd place in terms of save percentage in Neo with an 8.494. So still looking good there. Brothers in Gaming move up 1 position to take 2nd place, maintaining the best goals for per game rate in this group while taking the fewest amount of penalties and also having the fewest amount of hits. I don't believe that's a coincidence. The Nordic Knights drop 1 position into 3rd. They do still have the lowest goals against per game average, but they have yet to score a power play goal. They do have a perfect penalty kill still and the top face-off percentage, though, in the group. So they do drop a spot, but very much in that mix to be able to take that top spot by the end of the season. The worn out Wise Men, not so worn out. They move up 5 spots this week. Still yet to score a power play goal themselves while having a perfect PK, but they no longer have the fewest PIMs. Still just 6 games played, though, so we'll see. They got a lot of games to make up here. Sierra Kunta down 1 spot this week. Simpa, key player for them, no longer with the most interceptions, so you can see how that might be a factor just in general, maybe not playing the defensive level that they were hoping to play this week. While you also have Hawks HC holding their position in 6th. No longer do they have the top face-off percentage, and they now have the worst penalty kill in Group 1, so certainly some things to work on. Well, we have to talk about Davy Miahetz, down 2 positions this week. They do maintain the top power play percentage in the group, although it drops from 60%. They do have the most penalty minutes in the group, and that is going to be a continued problem for them unless they can figure that out. Somebody has to take penalties and be the team that's taken the most, but look at a team like Nordic Falcons, who we're going to talk about next. Only the 20 penalty minutes so far. They moved down 1 position this week, still yet to score on the power play. They have maintained the most hits in the group, and they no longer have the worst PK in the group. 4 wins in their last 10. we'll see what kind of moves they can make. The Czechoslovakia Ravens down 1 position this week. No longer the most PIMs in the group, but just 2 wins in their last 10. And the Ice Huskies hold their position in 10th, maintaining the worst goals for per game pace, the worst goals against per game pace, the worst face-off percentage, although it did go up 3% this week. You have someone like Vegas, who we've mentioned before, used to be top in terms of shot blocks. That's not the case. The only real positive for the Ice Huskies right now is Big Sasha, who is sporting the only shutout in the entirety of the Neo division. So there's your one positive if you're the Huskies. For group number 2, let's take a look at the top as Salasiuru hold their top position. They also maintain the best goals for per game pace in the group. They still have a perfect penalty kill as well, and the top face-off percentage. They fell off a little bit in terms of hits, but I mean, they'll take it. They're still in first with 8 wins in their last 10 games. Nikisuke, who we've mentioned before, is now 5th in scoring. Dropped from 3rd. It was only a 6-point week, but still a very, very strong season. And Osku goes from being tied for 1st to now being tied for 2nd in defensive goals with 8 after scoring 2 goals this week, but still a goal per game pace for a defenseman is phenomenal. The Vita Poja Vikings hold their spot in 2nd place, no longer tied for the lowest goals against average in the group. They do also now have the worst power play percentage in the group at just 4%. Fewest hits as well, not a very physical team, but a couple, or at least one bright spot. Ureti Sose maintains the most interceptions in the league with 125. But Limits, their top scorer, does fall out of the top 3 in goals, still has 29 in 14 games. Holding their spot in 3rd, HC Left Academy, the lowest goals against average in the group right now at a 3.08. They also have the top power play percentage in the group and are the most physical team of the group. As a result, though, they no longer have the fewest penalties taken, and they no longer have the top face-off percentage in the group, but 8 wins in their last 10. They're feeling pretty good about themselves right now. The Hanover Indians Esports squad hold their 4th place spot, no longer tied for the lowest goals against average in the group. 4 wins in their, first 8 games, so kind of makes sense. They got some games to make up. Karit moving up 3 positions into 5th place. They no longer have the worst goals for per game pace in the group, and on the flip side, they still have the highest goals against pace in the group, but it is down from a 5.5. So if they can continue to kind of sort out those defensive issues, we'll see where they can end up. You have, if I'm not mistaken, it is a tie indeed, 0.9 for Beastie Boys and Lassen Lampat. So Lassen technically holding 6th position for the 3rd straight week. They still have the most penalty minutes taken in the group, and they no longer have the top power play percentage to offset it, while Beastie Boys technically moved down 1 position. They did finally get a power play goal, but they lost their perfect PK. Legion HC down 1 spot to be in the basement of this group. They have the worst goals for pace, while, on the positive, you might want to say, hey, they have the fewest penalties. They also have the worst penalty kill in the group at 72% and the worst face-off percentage, even though it went up 3% this week. So Legion certainly have some things to work on. Group number 3, we have the Typhon Veterans up 4 positions to claim the top spot. They still have the top power play percentage, even though it dropped from 60% down to 45%. But they no longer have the worst face-off percentage. They might not be the most physical team, but 8 wins in their last 10. They're feeling pretty good. But they do have Red Bull Munich Academy hot on their tails. Now, Red Bull did fall from that top spot, but they still have the best goals for per game pace in the group. They have the lowest goals against average in the group. They have the top penalty kill in the group, and they have 4 players here that really stand out. We have to start off with Sauron, 3rd in scoring with 63 points after a 13-point week. Honer, 4th in scoring after an 11-point week. We're going to go with eBay as opposed to eBay CKEO, I believe. I didn't obviously put it together very well, but hey, I've been talking for a long time at this point. eBay still first in defensive scoring with 40. I was going to say with 48 points. That is not the case, but obviously still very strong numbers with the 35 at this point. And then old Windows, whatever you prefer, is up there for the most wins by a goaltender. You have the Nordic Knights second squad up one spot after a 5-win week, taking over third, while Nordic Macabre dropped 2 spots down to fourth after holding second place over the first 2 weeks. The Stockholm Vikings up 2 positions despite being tied for the worst power play percentage in the group, while the Vicksburg Puck Rats fall 3 positions with just 4 wins over their first 10 games. Total Chaos down 1 position. They no longer have the worst power play percentage in the group, but they do have the worst PK. At the same time, have the top face-off percentage. Figure that one out. Utalan Palaciora up 1 position. They no longer have the worst goals for pace in the group. But they no longer have the worst goals against average in the group either. It's still not great, but hey, they finally got a power play chance, but they are now tied for the worst power play in the group. They lost their perfect penalty kill. Bright side, fewest PIMs. That's always good. Stay out of the box, but they also have the lowest face-off percentage. So you see these teams like, oh, hey, we're good. Oh, no, well, that's not so good. But this part of us, our play is good. Oh, okay, well, that's really not. They're very much stuck in that pattern. And then the Red Falcons down 1 spot into 9th. They have the worst goals for pace in the group, the highest goals against average in the group, the most penalties in the group, the most hits by far. I'm sure there's a correlation there. But in terms of the most hits, we need to talk about a couple of their players. First and foremost, Suomibo, their leading scorer, if I am not mistaken, and I will blame Kenu if he doesn't cut this out to save me. But I believe the word is that Suomibo is, despite being the league leader in hits, on their way to Salasiuru. So that is a big-time transfer there. We've mentioned Suomibo and the physicality quite a few times on the wraparound. They do maintain Asavoa. No longer has the most PIMs in the league, does have the most blocks, so that's nice. And, of course, in goal, Patu, most saves. You already know how we feel about that, but that is group number 3. Group 4, Clowns on Ice maintain their top spot, as well as the top goals for pace in the group, although it did drop from a 7.5. They no longer have the lowest goals against average in the group, nor do they have the top face-off percentage anymore. But they do have the top power play percentage, which is really nice. And in goal, Effie Leptic. Big performances for them through the 8 games. Currently second in Neo in save percentage at an 854. As HC Wolves maintain their second place finish, they still have the lowest goals against average in the group. They don't have the lowest power play anymore either. A little bit of improvement there. They did lose their top PK, although it is still the top in the group, and they still have the best face-off in the group, as well as the top goaltender in terms of save percentage. Shout out to Andy Jester, who also got some games at, as a skater, but as a goaltender, 10 games played, a 900 save percentage. Absolutely phenomenal. Mocha up 1 spot this week into 3rd with 8 wins in their last 10, while the Flying Elbows also move up 1 position this week. They no longer have the top power play percentage, but they also no longer have the fewest hits or penalties. So they got a little bit more physical this week, took a few more penalties, power play dipped a little bit, but again, still moved up a position. Not bad. Twisted Clowns down 2 spots this week. Really, you gotta pay attention to the worst PK in the group at 59%. Definitely a part of their problem. While the Wildcats Esports second squad up 2 positions this week, they do still have the lowest power play percentage in the group, but at least they've finally gotten power play chances because they hadn't through the first 2 weeks. You have the Swiss Wolves Esports squad down 1 position this week, maintaining the lowest face-off percentage in the group. It dropped almost 5% this week. They're also the least physical team in the group. While Marshalls also moved down 1 position this week with an identical last 10 record to Swiss Wolves. Strength of the pack holds for the third straight week in 9th position, while, living up to the strength term, still the most physical team in the group. They no longer have the most PIMs, though, so that's always a good sign. And Northern Lighters hold in 10th, maintaining the lowest goals for per game pace, the highest goals against average. They no longer have the worst PK, nor do they have the worst face-off percentage, although lucky unit for them does have the most individual penalties in Neo. Our last group, it is group number 5 at the top. Casanovat holds their position. They maintain the lowest goals against average in the group. And of course, 10 games played, 10 wins. Still have the top face-off percentage in the group. Stony, third in goals with 33. But in terms of the Ronkus, you had Ronku 10 leading the way, drops in the scoring pace, again, just with the 10 games played. And then Ronku 83-17, dropping in the defensive scoring pace as well. But, again, that's not really surprising. Fallen Rangers maintain their second place at the moment, with the best goals for pace in the group, averaging 9 goals a game. And it went up from a 9.38. They also have the top power play percentage. They did lose their perfect PK, but still have the top PK in group number 5. Key players for them, quite a few. We have Sebco staying in first in scoring, had 66 points at the end of last week, now on 103. It's insane. And maintaining their first place spot in goals, they had 36 at the end of last week and are now on 65. While Zaki moves from 6th to 2nd in scoring, had 47, now on 69 points. And from 5th to 2nd in goals, from 24 now to 36. Have to mention Predator as well, 3rd in scoring amongst defenders. Tremendous numbers, of course. I believe has played a little bit of forward as well, given the discrepancy there, but a 7-point week on the defensive side. And Mild Olympic, the top goals against average amongst starters. Obviously, again, we had to be a little bit more concise with the numbers. Villasconte HC holds their position in 3rd. They did finally get a power play chance, which is nice. Fewest penalty minutes in the group. Couple of key players for them as we look at Velium Poika, who is 2nd in scoring amongst defenders with 32 points, tied for 2nd in defensive goals with 8. We also have to mention Maltsevi, who is 1st in defensive goals with 9 after scoring 3 from the blue line this week. You also have Karhu Kisat moving up 4 spots, I should say, this week, despite having the worst power play percentage in the group and having taken the most penalties. But they no longer have the worst goals against average in the group, which would currently be a 6. And shockingly, that is not the worst, because the worst belongs to the Boys Are Back, who drop 1 spot this week and take the lead at a 7.0 goals against average. That needs to be solved, certainly. Sekotuli, moving up 1 spot to 6th place. They maintain the lowest goals for per game average, although it is up from a 1.38, but they no longer have the worst power play percentage in the group, still while being the most physical team in the group, and no longer having the most penalties as well. Again, if you can be physical and stay out of the box, it's a pretty good way to go. You have the Ice Hockey Net Yetis moving down 2 positions in the 7th. Fewest hits in the group, so go figure, those 2 teams right next to one another. But now Ice Hockey Net Yetis have the fewest amount of penalty minutes in the group as well, or at least they no longer have the fewest amount of penalty minutes. So you can see, not a very physical team, taking a few more penalties, getting in trouble with those stick infractions. It's bound to happen. And then at the bottom, Valtakunan Viha Tuimat, if I am not mistaken. I probably am at this point. It's been a long run, everybody. Down 2 spots this week, maintaining the worst penalty kill and the worst face-off winning percentage. And this was my attempt to cut this content short. Didn't work, did it? It's a lot to talk about, but I do very much enjoy getting to shine that spotlight on all the divisions and everything that's going on, especially in Core and in Neo. These are teams that aren't going to get talked about as much. players that aren't going to get talked about as much. But even having just this little bit of an extra bit of spotlight might help bring attention to some of these players. And then who knows where they go from there. My hope is with a show like this, that some of the players I'm talking about from Core and from Neo are guys that we see in Pro and Elite sooner rather than later. But for now, everybody, I'm going to bring this to a close here. I thank you all very much for tuning in. Again, we'll be back here at the end of week 4. And of course, as always, sportsgamer.gg for all the information that you need. For now, I'm very tired, and I'll see you soon.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi. Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
No Tukey here with us today, but folks, we've got two fun matches with some pretty high stakes. 4 current playoff teams matching up head to head. Our first matchup between Mustaa Kultaa and Polski boys. And then after that, we will have a pair of playoff teams from last season, both currently on the right side of the playoff grid for this season, as the Blackjacks will face off against Voittamaton. But first, we mentioned the standings. Let's take a quick look at how the standings look heading into today, as most of our teams have reached around that halfway point now. Really only Renascore are still below the 50% played mark, but as you can see, a lot of familiar faces, a couple of newer names over on the left side of the board. How about Totorit? 15-3-2 so far this season in 20 games played. They currently lead the way, obviously have more games played this season than anybody else, especially Parasite, who was yet to lose a game in any fashion so far. But nevertheless, Totorit, a team that last season really caught a lot of people off guard. People wondered coming in with them retaining all 6 of their players, how would they look? Would they be able to maintain it with the new game? So far, they have silenced any doubts that those may have had for them. The best team in the ECL so far through the first 3 weeks of the season in terms of the games played. But again, Parasite undefeated. You see the goals for, goals against, 76 goals for, 19 against. And then you have some newer teams over on the left side of the board. Mustaa in their first Elite Division season, currently 11-1-2. Goons, a team that were relegated this time 3 months ago, back in the Elite Division after earning their way through the qualifier, currently a playoff team. Polski boys for the first time in that playoff conversation, while there's some teams a little bit more disappointing. Mythics, a team that made the playoffs last season, struggling 18 games in, they're in dire straits. And I think really the shocking surprise of the season, the struggles of Exon, 11th in the league so far, 14 games played. Things really starting to get dire for them, and I think it would be one of the more surprising results to see them not make it over on that left side of the bracket. Still some time, obviously, but time starting to run thin, as remember, you only have so many games. You play 14 teams, that's 28 total games. Exon right at that halfway point, and currently Atriel Hymo, who is at that last playoff spot by a total of 7 points. So a few of those teams on the right side of the board are going to have to find their way, but hey, that second half of the season, that can be where we've seen things turn around before. We'll see if some of those teams on the right side of the board can do it this time. But it's on the left side that we will be focusing on today, as Mustaa faces off against Polski boys, as we will look at the head-to-head matchup between those two teams. And as you mentioned, two teams that have not really been in the playoff conversation in the Elite Division. Mustaa in their debut Elite season, Polski boys in their third season, but it typically had been hovering around that no man's land area. And for Mustaa, how impressive have they been so far? 58 goals for, 28 against. They've yet to allow a goal on the penalty kill. They have really been just one of the class of the ECL Elite Division so far. You look at the average goals for per game, which isn't up on the screen right now, but they average a total of 4.14 goals for per game. The only team above them is Parasite, who averages 5.4. So it just goes to show you how dynamic they are offensively. While for Polski boys, they've been a much better offensive team. They were one of the lowest scoring teams in the Elite Division the last 2 seasons. Right now, averaging 2.5 goals for per game. That ranks right around the middle of the league. So two teams that can score the puck, two teams that are looking to improve their place in the standings, trying to really solidify their place in that top 8 for a playoff spot. Two teams as well that have been some of the newer up-and-coming teams in this division. Going to be fun to see them go head-to-head here today. Let's take a quick look at our starting lineups for both of these two teams. As Kultaa over on your left side, they will be starting the forward trio of Ardo at left wing, Launane at center, and Alupekas, the captain and longtime right winger for this team, over on that right side. While back on defense, it'll be Nardi Yamal at left D and Misi at right D. While in between the pipes, one of the rookie of the season contenders in Latve. We will talk a bit about him in just a few moments. While over on the right side for Polski boys, the 3-4 is Tudikelia at left wing, Brakella at center, and Sassy at right wing. While on the back end defensively, it'll be Kugan Kirwa at the left D side. While on the right defense, it'll be Vodi. And at that goalie spot, Mistardi Tiku, who will be really fun to watch against Latvex on the other side. Two stellar goaltenders that have really stepped up for their respective teams so far this season. Take a look at the center comparison now as Launane versus Brakella. And we talked a little bit about Launan. He is someone that has really emerged as one of the top forwards, I think, in the league. Last season was a rookie of the season contender. Just missed out on it to Carlson Adam, who had been one of the better goalies all of last season. Really did a good job being able to be a point producer, more of a goal scorer. This season has kind of taken the role as more of a playmaker, but still has that goal scoring ability. Going to be fun to see how he can make an impact against a pretty good Polski boys team defensively, while for Brockella, longtime player for this Polski boys team, one of the captains of this team, someone that statistically maybe doesn't pop out to you immediately, but someone that's a very good two-way center, can do a little bit of everything. The 19 points in 16 games, I don't think that shows you everything that he can do at that spot in the middle. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what he can do. Now over at the winger side between these two teams, and this is what's going to be really fun to watch. A lot of wingers that can put the puck in the net, and I think the first person that pops out to you, Ardo, over at that left wing side, the transfer from Exon. He has fit in seamlessly with this Mustaa Kultaa team. Going to be a lot of fun to see what he can do alongside Alu Pekas, who has been really good in his rookie season. On the right side, Tunkelia, who has been the leader in points for Polski boys, a great addition for this Polski boys team coming over from Exon. Really has given them an extra dynamic on the offensive end, and Sasky has been the perfect support for him over on that right side. So the wing battle going to be a lot of fun to see who can capitalize on chances. We got some goal scorers, we got some playmakers. Who's going to be able to make their impact today? And can the two defensive pairings on these two sides slow them down a little bit? As we'll take a look at that here as well. And the defense for both of these two teams has been so good, really, all season long. I mean, we talked a little bit about what Mustaa Kultaa have been able to do, but Polski boys, a really good defensive team all season long. And for them, again, the stats maybe don't pop out to you immediately just because of how good Mustaa Kultaa has been on the offensive end. But Polski boys are a really good team, a lot of chemistry. They have that ability to play together. They'll need to make sure to stay together on the defensive side. It's going to be key, but nevertheless, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these two pairings can really impact the game. You feel like the game could be won or lost on these two defensive pairings, but no defensive pairing can be elite without elite goaltending behind them. And folks, we've got a really fun goaltend matchup here today between two really solid players, and the stats kind of show you how even these two guys are. Latve over on the side of Mustaa Kultaa, Mestri over on the side of Polski boys. Only 2% difference in the save percentage. They played the same amount of games. Both of them have been winning pretty consistently all year long. And interestingly enough, right, Latve having the better save percentage, it's Mestri who has the better goals against average. So Latve may be susceptible to taking a few more shots compared to Mestri. It's going to be interesting to maybe see how that impacts things, which is why you kind of segue from the defense to the goalies. The goalies can only do so much. You need good defense in front of you. The defense can only do so much. You need good goaltending behind you. So these two players, two of the better statistical goalies in the elite division this season, facing off head to head, going to be a lot of fun to see how they can impact these two games. As before we get things lined up and ready to go, we'll look at our keys to the game here as both teams are about ready to go. And we'll start out with Mustaa Kultaa. For Mustaa Kultaa, number one, slow down Tunkelia, who, again, the leading point producer for Polski boys on the other side, 29 points. It does not that Polski boys operates as Tunkelia goes, but he is a massive part to the success of this Polski boys team. They're going to have to try to slow him down, try to isolate him, make life difficult for him, force his teammates to beat you. That's going to help their chances of winning these two games. Next, continue your balanced offensive attack. There's really not one person specifically that you have to look out for Mustaa Kultaa. You have Ardo, you have Laune, you have Alupekas. Even both defenders on the back end are really key. Both of them with over 20 points this season. 3 players on Mustaa Kultaa with more than 20 assists. So it's a very balanced offensive attack. They have to continue getting that production here against a really good Polski boys defense that will test them. And then finally, limit space to limit shots. You want to make Latve's job as easy as possible. Good goalie, great goalie as a matter of fact, but you don't want to allow this Polski boys team to test him too much. They will capitalize if you give them that space. They will not be afraid to put the shots on net. Try to limit that space and not give them the opportunity to take those shots on net, because you never know what puck on net could just happen to squeak its way past the goaltender. Now, for the Polski boys on the other side, what are they going to need to do in this series? Number one, stay organized defensively. We've talked about it with this Mustaa Kultaa team. They can attack at so many different angles with so many different players. You have to make sure that all 5 are together, organized. You can't have any slip-ups defensively in terms of communication or positioning. Polski boys are going to have to stay together. They're going to have to stay organized. If they don't, Mustaa Kultaa will make them pay for that. Next, all eyes on Ardo. Obviously, there's a lot of guys you're going to have to keep an eye on from Mustaa Kultaa, but Ardo, such a good scoring threat. They're going to have to keep an eye on him. He has 29 goals this season, one of the leaders in the Elite Division. And then finally, apply pressure and establish your offense early. Polski boys have been such an improved team this season offensively. We're one of the worst offensive teams in the league the last 2 seasons. Like we mentioned, right around the middle of the pack at 2.5 goals per game. They're going to have to apply pressure, establish their offense. And not only that, going up against an elite offense in Mustaa Kultaa, sometimes the best defense can be your own offense. Don't allow them to get comfortable and work the puck around. If they can do that, could give them a good chance of winning these 2 games. To get a quick look at the lobby, both sides rocking and ready to go. You see some of the builds, a lot of the usuals, playmakers and snipers on the forwards, puck moving defensemen back at the defensive side. And again, folks, this is going to be a really fun matchup. 2 teams that really have ascended into the Elite Division over the last couple of years. Mustaa Kultaa in their first season, Polski boys in their third. And that's what makes this ECL league just so entertaining and so unique. You have teams and stories like this that climb the ladder, earn their way up, and work their way into that Elite Division. And hopefully for them, can work their way into that top tier in the Elite Division. These 2 teams have done it so far this season, and now they will go head-to-head here in these next 2 games as the puck is dropped, and we are ready to go with Polski boys taking over the first possession. They move it into the offensive zone. It's dumped in by Voti, picked up over at the left corner board, and passed back to the point. Working it in now was the centerman in Brokella, but he couldn't find any space, and now here comes Mustaa Kultaa on the counter. Puck battle for over on the left corner, and it finds its way over to Ardo. Back to the point to Nari Yamal. Yamal working down low to Ardo. Ardo looking for space. Goes down low now to Alupekas behind the net. Nice defense from Polski boys, not allowing to get anything in front. Yamal now at the point, skates his way in. Trying to find a passing option. This is the defense for Polski boys we were talking about, limiting that space. Going to be key to slowing down this Mustaa Kultaa team. As a shot on from the post, save made. That was nearly dangerous there. Mustaa Kultaa almost finding a quick opportunity. And now here come Polski boys on the other end looking to counter. Flip it there was Saski, but he lost control of that. Polski boys get it back, however. Tried to pass that over to the winger in Tunkelia, but could not keep it. And Mustaa Kultaa now will take over possession. We'll slow things down. 13.5 minutes to play here in period number 1. Only 1 shot on that so far between these 2. That was that shot off of the post. It's a couple of minutes ago from Mustaa Kultaa. Mise controls it now for Mustaa Kultaa and move it in the neutral zone. Up to the right boards, Alupekas. Alupekas tried to pass it to the left point. Nobody home. Now force a reset into the neutral zone. Ise takes it up at the blue line, but a little bit of a miscommunication, and that will draw an offsides with exactly 11 minutes to play here in period number 1. A slow-going game so far to start, but nevertheless, these 2 teams rather even, a little separating them so far. As Polski boys take over possession. Controlled by the left defender in Kugan Kira, but turned over. Ise gets it. As Yamal now moves it up to Laune. Laune, up the left board, tried to pass it across off of the stick of Mistari Tiku. And now Polski boys look to counter on the other side. Controlling it is Kugan Kira. Got the pass over from his defender in Voti and gets it back. Had to pass it off the boards, but nothing there for him. And now Mustaa Kultaa will take over possession. Yamal taking it up. Slap shot over to the right boards, given chase, but found by Polski boys first. Kultaa trying to apply some pressure, but Polski boys do a good job of breaking it. They get into the offensive zone. Passed over to the right winger in Brokella. Excuse me, Saski rather. Gives it back down low, but it's turned over. Nice job there from Mustaa Kultaa, and here they come on the opposite side. 3-on-2 created. Alupekas tried to find something across, nothing there, but it finds Mise now. Over to Laune. Laune down low. Alupekas with it, got tripped up on that play, and that will lead to a power play for Mustaa Kultaa. So the first penalty of the game going to lead to the first man advantage for either of these two sides. Mustaa Kultaa, they've struggled on the power play so far this season, just 17.6% coming into the day. Polski boys, one of the league's best penalty kills at 90%. That is tops in the league. And it hold true here with 4:32 to play in the first period. Still looking for our first goal. 2 shots on net between these two sides. Polski boys not able to get it out, and Mustaa Kultaa take possession right back. Yamal has it up at the left point. Skates it and gives it up to Ardo. Out of Mise, back to Yamal, back to Mise again. To Yamal, shot on the one-timer, save made. Ardo denied by Mistari. And Polski boys going to avert any further danger and dump this out. 44 seconds to go on the Mustaa Kultaa power play. Mise trying to move it up, but he's denied. Nice poke check there made, and it's dumped out immediately as Latve will scoop that up and pass it out to Yamal to break it out. 10 seconds to go on the man advantage for Mustaa Kultaa. Struggling to break past the blue line, and now it's an odd man rush after a man comes out of the box, but poke checked away. Nice defensive play there made by Yamal for Mustaa Kultaa. Danger was averted there as Tim Kelly came out of the box. Nearly had a breakaway. 1 minute to play here in period number 1. Polski boys in the offensive zone. Nice break up there by Ardo. Gives it up to his fellow winger, now Lupekas. Up the right boards. Turns, looking for space. Gives it back up to Ardo. Tried to get the shot on. Save was made. Mustaa Kultaa still operating. 3 seconds. One-timer from the point. Blocked by his own man in front. And that will do it for the opening 20 minutes. Mustaa Kultaa with all of the shots on net. But Polski boys doing everything they need to do so far to keep this thing tied. Still looking for our first goal here in this one. 0-0. Current score. It felt like for Polski boys, just trying to find their offensive rhythm really in this first period. Just not really a whole lot of opportunities yet to get a shot on net. Haven't got to test Latve too much. And, something we talked about, Mustaa Kultaa, a team that, though they are a good team offensively, have been susceptible to giving up some shots on net. So far, Polski boys just haven't really had the opportunity to get any of those shots on net. Mustaa Kultaa controlling the possession, kind of forcing Polski boys into their style of play as you get a look at a couple of the shots on net here. A lot of them late in that first period, 1 or 2 of them during the power play for Mustaa Kultaa. As really it was the first shot on net that was arguably one of the closest opportunities. That shot from the left post that was saved by Mistari. It wasn't to be for Mustaa Kultaa. We are still tied at 0 apiece heading into the second period. Mustaa Kultaa has possession. As Aro speeds up the left board, tried to get a pass across, could not connect. Now Lupekas was a little bit ahead of it as that puck going to go out of play and now lead to an offensive zone face-off here for Mustaa Kultaa to the left side of Mistari. We want to thank our sponsor in COVID on Lockett for all of their amazing support of everything that we do here in the ECL. Longtime supporter of the league. The breakaway from Polski was backhand shot, saved by Latvex. First chance of the day was the best of the day for Polski boys, but they were denied by the goaltender, and we're still at a stalemate here in the second period. We talked about Latve, how good he is in between the pipes. Rookie of the season candidate, goalie of the season candidate as well. Showed you why right there on his first test of the evening. Mustaa Kultaa trying to reward him with a goal on the other end, but Polski boys break up the play. Trolling in his Vody over at the right D spot, slaps it over to the left boards, and it's picked up by Kugan Kira. Passes down low, but it goes awry, and now it'll be a turnover, and Mustaa Kultaa now looking to take advantage of it. Lowney tried to find something, did not have much room to operate, however. Polski boys will create the turnover. Gonna slow things down to try to break into the zone. Controlled by Brockella. Gives it back over to his defender. Finds Brockella again. Brockella trying to move down the middle. Shot on, blocked in front. Puck loose and picked up by Lowney in between the middle for Mustaa Kultaa. Approaching the halfway point, still scoreless, but Polski boys with the best chance of the day are only shot so far in the second period. Is that one going to be offsides as Polski boys tried to work their way into the offensive zone? 12-14 remaining here in the second period. Our first of 4 games here today. These two will match up one more time, and then we'll have Voittamaton facing off against the Blackjacks. Polski boys win the face-off, get into the offensive zone momentarily, but it's turned over. Misay in control of it, tried to saucer that up to Alupekas, couldn't connect, but he gets it back on the boards. Alupekas trying to work his way in. Gets to Yamal. Ardo shot on, blocker save made by Misteri. Polski boys trying to get out of the zone, and they do for now. Pass across some space, shot on! What a save by Latvex! Brockella was denied on that play. Shot from the point, blocked in front by Alupekas. As the puck goes awry, and it's going to lead to an icing. But what a play by Latve. Another huge save, denying Polski boys of the scoring chance. As you get a look at that block at the point from Alupekas, he got injured on that play. So speed going to be affected for the Mustaa captain for at least a few minutes here. Polski boys finding their groove, being opportunistic offensively, but being denied by just better goaltending. Face-off won in the defensive zone momentarily, but poke checked away, and Polski boys recover. What a great play there by the defender and Kugan Kira to make that play, but Polski boys not able to capitalize on it. Turn it over, and now Mustaa looking to get out of their own zone. Polski boys applying pressure, almost another turnover there. Struggling to get out of their own zone, they finally do as Misay breaks into the offensive zone. They turned it over immediately, and now Polski boys on the counterattack once again. Brockella controls it. And for space, that's Kelia. This is the point, shot on from the high slot. Save made in the glove of Latvex. To hold on for another stoppage. 5:58 to play in period number 2. Still scoreless, and Polski boys had to be wondering how. They've had multiple good chances in the second. Face off to the left of Latvex and won by Polski boys. Pass in front, shot! Hits the side of the net! Oh, that was a great chance there for Brockella, but he couldn't finish it. Now Mustaa on the other end, pass in front, puck loose, but picked up by Polski boys, and here they come on the counterattack. Kelia trying to get it across, shot on in front, save made. Here comes Mustaa now on the other end. 3:30 to play in period number 2. Shots are even at 5 apiece so far. Remember, it was 4-0 Mustaa at the end of that first period, so Polski boys have controlled this second. Question, who's going to be able to capitalize and get that first puck in the back of the net? Kulta trying to make that happen here. Misay with speed. Gets into the offensive zone, looking for a pass over at the boards and finds Alupekas. The right corner. Holds it. Gives it to Ardo. To Misay. Misay under pressure from Kelia. Turned over. Almost a breakaway, but a nice pickoff there from Mustaa. 30 seconds to play. Fast minute here. Yamal. Talaune tried to pass it across, but finds the point. Shot goes wide. It was blocked in front. 3 seconds to go. Polski boys trying to find one more rush shot on. Easy save made from Latvex, and that will do it for an action-packed period number 2. As the play of the period, the play of the game so far, a trio of big saves there from Latvex, as you see that glove save that he had just a few minutes ago, but that wasn't even the biggest one. A pair of breakaway saves from Latvex in this second period to keep things at bay. We are still all knotted up, trying to find that first goal of the game. Mustaa dominating the first period. Polski boys dominating the second. It's going to be really interesting to look at the stat comparison after that first 40 minutes of play, and you see it here. Mustaa dominating the time on attack, but the shots even so far, not really capitalizing on the time on attack the way they did in that first period. As there's another look at the breakaway save from Latvex, and it just missed. Had some open net, but hits off the pad. Here's a look at the second right here. Beautiful read by Latvex to get over at that left side. Interestingly enough, different players, different handedness, but the same side of the net. Gonna be interesting if Polski boys get another shot at that breakaway. If they maybe look to go to their left side, Latvex's right. Pattern going to their right side, Latvex's left. Third period now underway. Your coverage here brought to you by Kovan on Locker to see. It's a chance nearly for Polski boys, but they couldn't get a grip on that puck. And now Mustaa Kultaa trying to counter on the other side. Shot on from an odd angle from Alupeka. Save made from Mustaa. That's the first shot in a while for Mustaa Kultaa here in this game. They have it now in the neutral zone. Controlling against Misay, and a little bit of a miscommunication between him and Alupekas is going to lead to an offsides. Again, this is the first of 2 games that these two will play, and boy, if the next game going to be anything close to this, we've got a treat on our hands. As after that, we'll also have Voittamaton and the Blackjacks facing off against one another, 2 playoff teams from a season ago. This is the handle here first as Polski boys trying to find a goal, had that pass across, but it goes a little bit wide. Controlling it at the point is Voti, goes down on the Tunkeli, a shot on, save made from Latve. Another chance here as Rakela gets it up to the point. Rakela controls it, holding, trying to find some space, and goes down low over to Saski. Back up to the point now to Kudenkira as he's bumped down but gets it back. Controlled again by Polski boys. Rakela with it at the corner board, trying to find some space through the middle. Puck loose over by the right post. Found by Mustaa Kultaa momentarily, but lost, but turned over by Polski boys after I had a chance. 2-on-2. Ardo shot on, save made. Alupeka's got that pass from Ardo. Looked like a dangerous chance, but Misty was Johnny on the spot. Here comes Polski boys other side. Shot from the point, maybe tipped in front, but it goes wide. Full pressure for Polski boys now. Mustaa Kultaa on their heels. Kunkelia in control of it at the boards. Up to the point. Shot from Saski, blocked in front, picked up by Mustaa Kultaa, trying to get out. Pressure from Polski boys creates a turnover. As Mustaa Kultaa just going to dump this out as Ardo going to happily just take the icing. Just give Mustaa Kultaa a bit of a reset with 10:15 to play here in this third period. Almost 50 minutes in. Still looking for our opening goal. Could the opening goal be the game-winning goal in this one? Polski boys win the face-off. This is controlled over on the side by Saski, but he couldn't really hold on to it for long. Passes up to the point now. Voti to Kudenkira. Shot on from the side from Tunkelia, was blocked in front. Here comes Mustaa Kultaa. They've got numbers. Polski boys doing a nice job getting back, however. Defenders late coming into the play. There's a wraparound attempt there from Laune. Doesn't go. Here comes Polski boys trying to counter. 4-on-3. Kunkelia shot on from the right point. That was Voti, but it was blocked. 7 minutes to play here. Poke checked away, given chase. Found first by Mise. Full pressure after he turned it over. Polski boys with an opportunity. Can't get it out of their own zone as Mustaa Kultaa. Mise battling under a lot of duress, trying to get it out. Gives it to Alupekas, who finds a man. Potential breakaway. That's Ardo. Oh, nice job from Polski boys catching up. Just has to throw that on net. Leads to a save. And Polski boys going to hold on for a whistle, and Mustaa Kultaa going to call timeout to get their energy back. As you see, the stats in this game have really evened up. Mustaa Kultaa was dominating the possession game early, and really since that first period, Polski boys have kind of taken over the momentum in this game, but just have not been able to find that goal, whether it's a block in front or Latvex making a big save. Polski boys have been denied time and time again. Can Mustaa Kultaa maybe steal this one, or will Polski boys be able to find the breakthrough? Remember, a big difference as well between a regulation win and an overtime win for those newer to the league. 3 points for a win in regulation, just 2 for an overtime win. As a pass across, wasn't able to connect there. Nice breakup from Polski boys. Here they come trying to counter. Tunkelia in control, pass in front there to Rakela. Checked away. Kultaa tried to slow things down and bring it into the offensive zone, but it was offsides. 3:05 left. And now you're really in the territory to where that next goal could very well be the winner. Does desperation start to seep in a little bit potentially? Aggression? Or do you back it in and try to secure yourself at least 1 point? Both of these teams battling and jockeying for playoff position. Both of them on the right side of the cut line as of today. As a puck loose over to the right side from Mustaa Kultaa. It's picked up by Laude behind the net. He's tied up and it's broken away. Here comes Polski boys on the other end. Tunkelia gives it up. Brockella back to the point to Kunkira. Back to Brockella. Back to Kunkira, but the pass was picked off by Alupekas. Laude in control. Less than a minute to play. Can Mustaa Kultaa find the goal here? Yamal shot on, blocked in front. Polski boys take over possession. Here they come on the counterattack. Tunkelia takes a big hit there from Mise. Kultaa not going to take advantage of it, however, as Polski boys touched it and it was offsides. There's another look at the big hit there that Tunkelia took. He throws the body around. He leads this team in hits coming into the day with 45. So not surprising to see him get physical. Mustaa Kultaa wins the face-off in the neutral zone. They have possession with 33 seconds to play. Can they find the game winner? Alupekas, the captain, has it. Pass across, puck loose behind the net. Alupekas retrieves it. He's tied up on the boards. Battle for it, and Alupekas somehow comes out with it. Does so again. Wraparound shot, and he scores! Oh, captain, my captain! Alupekas scores for Mustaa Kultaa with just 20 seconds remaining. He does it himself and takes the lead late. It was 1-on-2 on the boards for about 15 seconds. He somehow comes up with that puck. Catches Mustaa off guard, and now Mustaa Kultaa with a 1-0 lead with just seconds remaining in this game. 20.5 remaining. Can Polski boys find a very quick response? Retreating is Mustaa Kultaa, but a turnover, shot on, save made by Latve. 12 seconds now. Polski boys have to find something. Picked up by Mustaa Kultaa, passed out but turned over. 5 seconds, last gas for Polski boys, shot on, save made, puck loose in front, scooped up by Latve, and he will hold on to the whistle. 0.9 seconds remaining. It will take the world's fastest shot for Polski boys to tie this game up. Do they have a miracle? They do not. Mustaa Kultaa in the dying seconds steals it from Polski boys. The captain, Alupekas, with the game winner on a wraparound. A 1-0 victory for Mustaa Kultaa. It wasn't how they usually do it. They had to win it with defense and goaltending. Team that came in scoring over 4 goals per game. Held scoreless until 20.5 remaining. Or that play right there, Alupekas just big bodying the defense of Polski boys behind him. You see the replay right there, got tied up, bumped multiple times. Polski boys not able to get the puck off of him. And a great job from Alupekas recognizing that space to the left side, caught Mustaa off guard on that wraparound. He couldn't get to that right post quick enough. And Mustaa Kultaa steal the 3 points right from the clutches of defeat, where it looked like Polski boys had a lot of opportunities to win this game. Remember the 2 breakaway saves from Latve that he had in the second period. A couple of good opportunities that Polski boys had as well that were saved or blocked in front by defenders. You got a feel for him, a great effort against what has been one of the league's top teams this season, and the stats kind of show you pretty even across the board. Polski boys with more shots in that game actually than Mustaa Kultaa. Pretty barren stat sheet. The 1 penalty in the first period from Tunkelia, and then the goal with 20.5 seconds remaining, as we'll get another look at it here. As you see it again, now Alupekas was able to avoid the contact, and really no one covering that right post or over to that right side at all. There was a lot of commit to trying to get that puck off of Alupekas, tying him up, bumping him off of the boards. Alupekas is able to wiggle his way out of the contact, found his way to that goal. and found his way to 3 points for his team. Mustaa wins game 1, 1-0. We're going to take a short break. Game number 2 on the other side. Thank you all for joining us. We've got fun action here today. You're not going to want to go away. We'll be right back after this short break.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Down this team with a shot off from the post, save made. Wow. It got tripped up. Save these up to Arno. Save again. Ball shot on the one-timer. It's an odd man rush after a man comes out of the box. The chest away. Nice defensive play for the ECL. Long-time supporter of the league. The breakaway from Polski was backhand shot, saved by Latvex. Saucered it up to Alepekas, couldn't connect, but he gets it back on the boards. Alepekas trying to work his way in. See them all. Arno shot on, blocker save, made for now. Pass across some space, shot on, what a save by Latvex. For space, excuse me, that's Kelly. Shot on from the high slot, save made on the glove of Latvex. To the left of Latvex and run by Polski boys. Has it for a shot! Hits the side of the net! Come on the counter attack. Kelly trying to get it across. Shot on in front. Save made. So Polski boys trying to find one more rush shot on. Easy save made from Latvex. And that will do it for an action-packed period number 2. The counter on the other side. Shot on from an odd angle from Alepekas, save made from Mustaa. That's the first goal. Had that pass across and it goes a little bit wide. Trying to play Cody. Goes down on the Toon Kelly. Shot on, save made. Mustaa momentarily, but lost. But turned over by Polski boys after I had a chance. 2-on-2. Arno shot on, save made. Alepekas. That's up to the point now. Shot on for Polski boys trying to counter. 4-on-3. A shot on from the right point. Possession. Here they come on the counterattack. Tukelia takes a big hit there from Mise. But however, as Polski boys touched it, it was offsides. There's another look at the big hit there that Tukelia took. Retrieves it. He's tied up on the boards. Battle for it, and Alepekas somehow comes out with it. Does so again. Wraparound shot, and he scores! Oh, Captain! He does it himself and takes the lead late. 3.5 remaining. Can Polski boys find a very quick response? Retreating is Mustaa.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Thank you for sticking with us. We are back with game number 2 between Polski boys and Mustaa. Mustaa stealing that first game 1-0 over Polski boys in the final seconds. We'll see if this game has just as much entertainment value as we're underway with Polski boys on the attack immediately as Kira gives it the Brakella pass over across high slot. Nothing available, and Mustaa were forced to turnover. Mustaa, we're looking at their view. They're wearing the red jerseys, black pants, black helmets, while Polski boys in the white helmets, white jerseys, and red pants. These two teams, if you're just now joining us, both of them in the playoffs as of today. Kultaa coming in with 10 wins in 14 games. Polski boys with 9 wins in 16 games. Kultaa currently sitting in 4th. Polski boys sitting in 6th. So a little bit closer to that cut line. So a big game 2 here for them. They need some points. Can they get them here? There's a chance there. Pass between Kelly was denied by Mustaa. Here comes Pekas now at the left boards. Got the game winner in game number 1. 20 and a half seconds left. Ball gives it to Ardo. Ardo was rather quiet. The leading goal scorer for this team was denied there. A couple of chances, not almost, but not to be. Polski boys now on the other end. Kelly controls it. Pass in front was tipped. Shot was saved there by Latvex, however. Rakela has it. Had it up to Voti, but he couldn't control it. Now here comes Mustaa. Pass across, shot on, save made from Meester. He had to squeeze that one tight. Make sure it didn't squeak through his pads. It does not, and he'll hold on for the whistle. Face off to the left side of Mistardi and Mustaa's offensive end. One cleanly. Tried to get that one-timer over to Ardo, did Yamal, but he couldn't get all of it. Now Polski boys will take over possession. Turned over, breakaway, this is Ardo! Ardo shot on, poke check from behind. The save also made. Nice job there, defense and goaltending supporting one another. Polski boys able to avert any danger as the full pressure there was for a second, but Mustaa couldn't have possession. Misay at the point. Gives it down low to Laune. Laune at the left boards gives it up to Ardo. Up to the point to Yamal. Shot on. Shot saved in the glove of Mistardi. Hold on for a stoppage with 10:43 to play. Mustaa fighting back after that quick start there from Polski boys. Face off one to the point for Mustaa. Shot on tipped in front there by Laune, but it's saved. 5 shots already for Mustaa 10 minutes into this one. Polski boys looking to find a response. Controlled by Rakela, shot over by Saski. Just went a little bit wide. Polski boys still in control momentarily, but it's lost, and now here comes Mustaa on the other end. Toe drag move from Pekas, gives it up to Yamal. Yamal over to Laune, shot on from a wide angle. Save made off of the mask of Mistardi. Come Polski boys now on the other end. Kella up to the point to Voti. Tried to find some space, but nothing was there. And here comes Mustaa countering now on the other side. Pekas, nice poke check there. Great work there from Saski to make that play. And that's the play in period number 1. And for our first goal here, still took until late in game number 1 to find that first goal. Really went all 3 periods without a score. As Mise passes across one-time shot, puck loose in front, still battling for it. And Polski boys find it. They avert danger yet again. Full pressure for Mustaa if they can get the puck back, but they're not able to. They do, however, late, and full pressure is still active. Chance for Mustaa. Shot was blocked in front. Polski boys get it back momentarily, but it's turned over again. Puck loose over on the right post. Battle for it. Poke checking, trying to find it on Mustaa. But Mistardi able to navigate his way through the traffic and will hold on and stop play. Already 8 shots on net for Mustaa. They had 9 in the entire first game alone. They have possession in the neutral zone after Yamal caught that like a left fielder. Wasn't able to keep it for long. Polski boys will take over possession. 1:45 to play in period number 1. As Kuginkira will dump that in. It finds his way to Saski. Tried to move that up to the point, but nobody home. The pass went a little bit awry. Now it forced Polski boys to reset things. Fast minute here, 30 seconds to play. Now down to 15. Pass to Tunkelia. Nice between the legs move, trying to operate to the middle, pass across. Couldn't get the shot off, however. It was intended for Rakela. One more chance for Polski boys. Pass was denied, blocked in front. That will do it for the first period. Scoreless, but it was all Mustaa there in that opening 20 minutes. A few chances, all denied by Mistardi and the defense. Still tied at 0, something we've said often here so far in this series. Mustaa with plenty of chances, and Polski boys looking to find their momentum once again. Gotta look at the few of the saves there to Mistardi made there. Arguably the best of them. That glove save right there with the traffic in front. See, 8 shots to 1 in favor of Mustaa. The one shot from Polski boys came within the first 3 or 4 minutes of this game. So pretty dominant effort from Mustaa after the hot start from Polski boys. That was the chance there late in the first period. Right there, the big breakaway save may have had a little bit of help from the defender behind him, but that puck still could have easily found its way into the netting if Mustaa isn't in position. He made the play, and keeps his team in a tie contest. Second period now underway. I want to thank our sponsor, Kovalan Lakritsi. Their generous support of the ECL and all things that we do here, a longtime supporter of the league. Thank them for all that they do to make this possible. As Mustaa with possession now in the offensive zone. Controlling it at the point. Shot across there from Alupeka's easy save made, and a breakaway here. Aro shot on, he scores! The second leading goal scorer in the league finds his 30th of the season, and Mustaa strike first, the 1-0 lead early in the second period. So you gotta look at the replay. Polski boys not able to find their way out of the zone. A turnover, trying to break it out. We talked about this earlier with our keys to the game. Mustaa, they're one of those teams. You make those mistakes, they're gonna take advantage of it. They're too dynamic. Too many quality goal scorers on this roster, and you're only gonna be able to die Aros for so long. And he gets his opportunity, he capitalizes. And gives Mustaa a 1-0 lead here early in the second period as that puck goes out of play. Polski boys with an offensive face-off here now coming up. Face-off won by Polski boys. One-time shot from the point, saved. First shot in about 20 minutes there for Polski boys. Trying to garner some momentum to tie this game up. And Kelia had control of it, but lost it. Pass from Mustaa goes Wari, and that's going to be called an icing. Another offensive face-off now upcoming for Polski boys. Trying to find a little bit of momentum after surrendering that opening goal. Take advantage of it, however. Face-off won by Polski boys. Shot on, saved by Latvex. Yet to allow a goal so far today. 15 saves on 15 shots between the two games, as Kultaa nearly with a chance on the other end, but a nice job from Mustaa. Keep that one in front of him. Talk about Polski boys. An interesting stat for them. That was the first game all season that they've been shut out. Been able to find their way to the net more games than not, but we're not able to in that first context. Not from lack of trying either. Latvex denied them on a pair of breakaways, a couple other opportunities that they just were not able to find home, but so far scoreless in these two games. Can they change that here? Puck loose in front. Up by Latvex, and he will freeze it for another face-off here coming up. A lot of stoppages here in the second period. Face off to the right of Latvex, to the left side for Polski boys. One to the point. Vody with the shot on, saved, and Latvex once again not going to take any chances. And it looks like Mustaa going to pause and take a timeout. Getting a little bit too close potentially to that full pressure meter. As you get another look at the goal that broke the tie from Ardo, his 30th of the season. As we mentioned, Ardo, how good he has been. Second in the league in goals for so far this season. Only trails Vatu of Parasite, who has 36 coming into the day. So one of the league's snipers, to put it lightly, strikes for Mustaa. The Polski boys pressuring back here. Was able to win the defensive zone draw. As Mise will give it up over to Yamal to bring it in. To Ardo now. Back to Yamal at the left point. Back to Ardo. Down low over to Alupekas. Looking for space. Shot on. Swept away there by Mustaa. Mustaa still in control. Laune has it behind the net and gives it up to Mise. Puck lost for a second, but retrieved. There's a shot on, puck loose, and Polski boys pick it up. Here come Polski boys, 2-on-2. Tunkelia didn't have a lot of space to operate there. Nice defensive effort. So Kultaa looking to capitalize on that now. Alupeka's at the right corner board. Pass across, broken up. Nice pick off there. That was Vodi that got to that one. Kultaa regain possession. We're halfway through this game. Kultaa up 1-0 here in game number 2. The exact same score that got them a victory in game number 1. A goal from Alupekas with 20.5 seconds remaining in the third period. As a pass across some space, may have hit off of Mistari and kind of deflected that puck. Dangerous chance there. Polski boys trying to counter. Turned over. And now here come Kultaa on the other end. Alupeka's toe drag move, trying to get some space. A nice defensive effort there from Polski boys, now looking to go on the other end. Going around the boards and finds Tunkelia. Turned over. Now here comes Kultaa opposite side. 2-on-2. Alupekas has Aro. Shot on. Glove save made by Mistari. Nice job staying to that short side. Flashes the leather. Holds onto the whistle. Face off to the left side of Mistari. Won by Polski boys in the defensive zone. Turned over. Aro picked that one off. Another critical defensive zone turnover for Polski boys. The first one led to a goal. Well, another one here. Alupeka's at the right corner, looking for an option. Goes down low, finds Alupeka's in front, shot blocked in front. He still has it. Finds Aro. Now another shot, another block. Polski boys trying to get it out. Can they do so successfully? They will in the neutral zone. Tunkelia tried to split the defense, but could not do so successfully. 80 seconds to play. Polski boys on the turnover pass. A cross shot, couldn't get all of it. Brockella had a chance, but he whiffed it on that puck. And now here comes Kultaa on the other end. 15 seconds to play in the second period. Them all down low. Aro tried the wraparound, but it was poke checked away. 3 seconds. Last chance here for Polski boys. Nice defensive play from Mise. And that will do it for period number 2. Kultaa broke the tie early in this one. It was the goal from Aro on the breakaway that did it. It's a 1-0 Kultaa lead after 40 minutes. Polski boys with a nice second period effort, but still looking for their first goal in 5 periods of play against this Kultaa team. Talked about the playoff implications at the halfway point for both of these two teams. Kultaa fighting for one of those top 4 seeds to get home ice advantage in the playoffs, assuming they make it. Well on their way to doing so as of now, while for Polski boys in the playoffs, came in at 6, but are not safe by any means. Not afford to drop all 6 available points here in this series. As you take a quick glance at the stats, Kultaa pretty much in firm control of this game here through 2 periods. Last game was rather even, with a little bit of an advantage towards the Polski boys by the end of it, but Kultaa have been the aggressor in this one so far. Now they'll look to do it for one more period to come out with all 6 points. We're underway here. The final period between these two teams. We'll have 2 more games of our coverage after this, with Voittamaton playing against the Blackjacks, 2 other playoff teams that have been staples of the Elite Division for years. First series with 2 of the newer teams in the Elite Division. Polski boys in year 3, Kultaa in year 1. Or season 3 and season 1, rather. Neutral zone face-off coming up after an offsides on Polski boys. It's off won by Kultaa. All in control, tripped from behind, and that's going to lead to a power play opportunity now for Kultaa. They had one earlier on, it was not successful. As it looks like that's going to be Brockella going to the box. So the centerman for Polski boys going to have to sit. That will transition Saski, the right winger, to have to take the face-off duties. against Laune, the natural center for Mustaa Kultaa. Kultaa 0 for 1 in this series, 17.6% on the power play coming into today. One of the few weaknesses this team has shown so far this season. Can they remedy it here? Taking their time with it. Pass across, nobody home. Picked up by Polski boys, slapped away to clear it out. Jamal will give it up to Misay to break this one in past the blue line. Skates in with some speed, stops at the point, reverses course over to the right side, trying to find a pass to the middle, but no one was there. And Polski boys again with no issues at all going to dump it. Polski boys a very good penalty kill, tops in the league at 90% coming into the day. Pekka's in control. Pass across. Nice block there in front. And it's again dumped out by Polski boys. So the power play unsuccessful. Not dangerous at all for Mustaa Kultaa. Another stellar PK for the Polski boys. Can they ride that momentum to a goal? They need one here to tie it up. They have possession of the puck now. Trying to move it into the offensive zone, but nothing was there. Misay in control of it, didn't have a lot of room as Polski boys forced a turnover. Nice defensive effort. It'll be slapped into the offensive zone by Polski boys, picked up momentarily by Mustaa Kultaa, but Polski boys find it. Puck at the high slot, but lost there. Not able to control that was Vody. Here comes Mustaa Kultaa between the legs. He shot on. Oh, he got him the move there to Pekka's, but he lost control of that puck right as he tried to shoot it. Something that Mustaa is going to want to keep an eye on. Almost moved there on that move from Pekka's. Shot on, blockered away there from Latvex as Polski boys now on the offensive end. Vody at the point. Even up to Stasky, but the shot was blocked. Here comes Mustaa Kultaa other end. Pass across, picked off, bumped off. Shot on, he scores! Aro yet again on an own zone turnover. And Mustaa Kultaa double their lead. 2-0 with just a little bit over 10 minutes remaining here in this third period. As you get a look at the replay there, tough luck there for Polski boys in front. Vody picks the pass off. He's bumped from behind. Ardo was the one that put the contact and laid the body on him. Caused the turnover, picked it up right in front. Tough for Mustaa to be able to react to that in time. Got him glove side, and Mustaa Kultaa, the 2-0 lead, and Polski boys now gonna have to act quickly if they want to mark themselves a comeback. Goal number 31 on the season for Ardo. Pekka's has it. Mustaa Kultaa maybe not done, but it's turned over. And now for Mustaa Kultaa, you have a 2-0 lead. You don't want to be complacent, obviously, but obviously risk versus reward starts to factor in. You'll see them get a little bit more conservative, try to drain some clock. Turnover in their own end, however. Polski boys, and they capitalize. They won't. Tunkelia turned it over 2-on-1. The winger Zaro and Pekka shot on. He scores. What a move from Pekka's, and he finishes it off in style. A 3-0 lead, and Mustaa Kultaa in full control. And how about that? Just pulled it back. Got the defender and Vody to pull the rug underneath himself. Rips that one past Mustaa, who was not in great position there on that blocker side. Probably would like to have that one back, but nevertheless a tough save to make regardless. Mustaa Kultaa with the 3-0 advantage with 6:18 to go here in regulation. Mustaa Kultaa in control of possession. And they draw a penalty. Things starting to really unravel here now for Polski boys. A tripping call. That's going to go against Vody, the right defender. It's actually going to be a charge. Another power play opportunity now coming up for Mustaa Kultaa. 5:14 to play. We've seen crazy things happen in 5 minutes and 14 seconds around these parts. We've seen 3 goals in that time. Mustaa Kultaa. And try to really put this one away. You have to feel pretty good if you're the team in red and black, but nevertheless, the more goals the better. As they're going to draw another penalty. This one will be a tripping call. That's a shot on save made from Mustaa, and now bring up a 5-on-3 from Mustaa Kultaa. As Sasky will go to the box there for that tripping call. Right here. That's interesting because he tripped up Mise, who was not the one controlling the puck. It was Ardo directly in front of him that had the puck on a stick, but swung between a pair of skates and brought him down to the ice. So 5-on-3 for Mustaa Kultaa for the next minute and 15 seconds. It's a pass in front. Now over to Pekas. To the point now to Mise. Mise looking for this one-time shot, gloved away by Mustaa. Passes it out dangerously. Shot on again. Save from Mustaa. And this time he's going to hold it. .42 seconds to go on the 5-on-3 advantage for Mustaa Kultaa. Face-off found by Ardo. Full pressure for Mustaa Kultaa here as well. They have everything in their way right now. Mise trying to work his way through the middle, but couldn't. It's turned over by Polski. Was shot on, blockered away by Mustaa. Picked up by Laune. As it's going to be dumped out, and one man will come out of the box for Polski boys. That's Vody now out. Joining them will be Sasky in 5 seconds. Boys trying to clear it out, can't, but the penalty's killed off. So 0 for 4 on the power play for Mustaa Kultaa. Polski boys not going to get the win here today, more than likely, but the penalty kill continues to be phenomenal for them this season. Trying to break the scoreless drought here. There's a shot on. Blockered away there from Latvex. Polski boys applying pressure. Less than a minute to go. Trying to break the Don't worry, Latvex, I'm not going to say it. We're even here. I wouldn't do it for the other side either, but commentators jinx. I've been around long enough to see that happen. I'm not here to ruin anyone's time. 51 seconds to play, and Latvex and Mustaa Kultaa looking to hold on. 3-0 lead, 45 seconds now. It's a shot on, goes wide, was blocked in front. Maybe hit off the stick there of Mustaa as well. It's puck loose over on the right post. Dari plays this out. Potential breakaway, but it's broken up nicely by Yamal for Mustaa Kultaa. 25 seconds to play. Polski boys on the offensive end turned over, but they get it back. Shot on, maybe hit the side of the right skate for Latvex. And another penalty called against Polski boys. This time it's Kugan Kira going to the box. Looks like he got Yamal with the glove there, and it's going to be a slashing call against Polski boys, who looked good in game 1, looked good in the early stages of game 2, but things started to slowly unravel, and Polski boys just not able to find their way since. Lap shot away from Polski boys out of the zone. 4 seconds. Mustaa Kultaa looking for one more chance. Blockered away there from Mustaa. That will do it. Mustaa Kultaa, a 3-0 victory over Polski boys. They sweep the series and get all 6 points. As Mustaa Kultaa, who started the season out undefeated in their first, I think 4 or 5 series that they played. Continuing their winning ways in their ECL Elite Division debut season. This was the first goal that opened things up from Ardo, the leading goal scorer for this team, the leading point getter for this team. That's why he has the honor of wearing the gold helmet. Got the second goal, and then Pekas with a beautiful third goal to really put this game away. As Mustaa Kultaa comes out with a 6-point night, a 1-0 victory in game 1, and a 3-0 victory to cap things off in game 2. And for Polski boys, gotta feel like it's a missed opportunity. Played well in game 1, were think the better team, honestly, in game number 1, but just could not get the opportunities to fall their way. Latvex with some big saves, a lot of blocks in front from the defenders. But denied Polski boys some good opportunities, and then in game number 2, it felt like Mustaa reached that next level that we didn't see from them in a lot of game number 1, and Polski boys just not able to really coordinate much of a response to it. See the stats. 23 to Aiden's shots, 11 minutes in time on attack to 5. Kind of indicates what we saw on the ice. It was all Mustaa there in that 60 minutes. There's the second goal there that we saw from Ardo. And then the one that really put the dagger in the heart of the Polski boys. That play right there from Alupekas, getting Voti to move out of the way so he could go left. Took advantage of a blocker side. Mistari maybe not in the most ideal position. Gave Mustaa a 3-0 victory over the Polski boys. That's a big 6 points for them. Parasite right in front of them with only one less, or actually no, the same amount of games coming in. Toterit ahead of them at number 1 spot with 6 more games played. So Mustaa still in contention potentially for the number 1 seed, very much in contention for number 2 or 3 seed, and are pretty well sound in the top 4. Obviously, still a lot of things to shake out, a lot of games still to be played, but a big 6 points for Mustaa. They win game number 1, 1-0, and close things out in game number 2 with a 3-0 victory. We're going to take a short break and then get things set up for our next series between Voittamaton and the Blackjack. So do not go away. We'll hear a word from our sponsor, Kovan Locracy. We'll be right back for our next series after the break. You're watching ECL Elite Division coverage live on twitch.tv/SportsGamerGG. We'll be right back.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
In front was tipped, shot was saved, couldn't control it. Now here comes Mustaa, pass across, shot on, save made from Meester. He had to squeeze that one tight. Turned over, breakaway, this is Ardo, shot on, poke check from behind, the save also made. Nice job, at the left boards, gives it up to Ardo, up to the point to Yamal, shot on, shot saved in the glove of Meester. For Mustaa, shot on tipped in front there by Loud. Game number 1 to find that first goal. All 3 periods without scoring. He's a pass, one-time shot, puck loose in front, still battling flush there from Alupekas. Easy save made in the breakaway here. Arlo shot on, he scores! The second leading goal. Get out. We talked about this earlier with our keys to the game. Off won by Polski boys. One-time shot from the point, saved, however. Face-off won by Polski boys. Shot on, saved by Latvex. So far, scoreless in these 2 games. Can they change that here? Puck loose in front. Up by Latvex, and he will fit behind the net and gives it up to Mise. A loss for a second, but retrieved. A shot on, puck loose, and Polski boys pick it up. Pekka's at the right corner, looking for an option. Goes down low, finds out with Pekka's in front, shot blocked in front. He still has it, finds Arlo, now another shot, another block. But could not do so successfully. 80 seconds to play. Polski boys on the turnover pass, a cross shot, couldn't get all of it. Moves to Kultaa. They had one earlier on. It was not successful. As it looks like that's going to be Brokella going to the box. So the center, something that Mustaa is going to want to keep an eye on. Almost moved there on that move from Alupekas. Shot on, blocker was to Kultaa other end. Pass across, picked off, bumped off, shot on, he scores! Aro yet again! With just a little bit over 10 minutes remaining here in this third period. Pass off, he's bumped from behind. Ardo was the one that put the contact and laid the body on him. 1-1, the winger is Aro and Alupekas. Shot on, he scores! What a move from Alupekas, and he finishes it off in style. Just pulled it back. Got the defender, and Bodie is going to pull the rug underneath himself. Rips that one past Mustaa. Pass in front. Alupekas is the point now to ECL, I say. For this one-time shot gloved away by Mustaa. Boys applying pressure, less than a minute to go. Trying to break the Don't worry about that, I'm not going to say it. We're even here. Kultaa, a 3-0 victory over Polski boys. They sweep the series and get all 6 points.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
All right, we are back. Thank you all for sticking with us as we just saw Mustaa win both of their two games against Polski boys. Game number 1, a 1-0 victory. Game number 2, a 3-0 victory. So they collect all 6 points, and now we transition and turn our attention to our next series between the Blackjacks and Voittamaton, two teams that have been long-standing staples within the Elite Division. The Blackjacks here for a few years, Voittamaton over a couple of different brands, formerly Strikers, formerly Frölunda, formerly Philadelphia. This group has been around for a long time, won multiple championships. The Blackjacks have become a playoff staple the last couple of seasons, so it would be interesting to see these two match up in what could very well be a playoff series preview and what it should just be starting in just a few weeks. We are really winding down close to the end of the season. Both of these two teams at the halfway point. As we'll take just a quick look here at the standings just to kind of see what has shifted, what has changed, depending on what results have happened around the league. And as you can see, Mustaa getting both of those games in, now up to third in the standings, 16 games played, 13 wins, 40 points. I mean, if not for Parasite having arguably the best regular season of all time, Mustaa could very well be in that number 1 spot. Obviously, both Parasite and Mustaa still chasing Totorit with those 20 games played, 15 wins in those 20, but obviously 6 games in hand for Parasite, 4 in Mustaa, only 3 points separating them. That's just 1 regulation victory. Have to assume that the law of averages will kind of come to meet here with Totorit, who nevertheless, regardless, will still probably be around that 3rd or 4th spot. And one of the teams that are going to have to chase Totorit down are Voittamaton, who are 6 points behind with just 2 games in hand. 2 of those games about to be played right now against the Blackjacks, who are in 7th with 16 games played, 25 points. You know, they had some invested interest because the team ahead of them, Polski boys, just dropped all 6 potential points. So 1 win would give them the opportunity to at least tie for that 6th spot, could very well overtake it if they can find enough points. And then obviously Hymo in control of that last playoff spot, tied with Mythics, but they have the tiebreaker as of now. Behind them, Exen, which has been a surprise. Looks like they have maybe accrued a few points. They were a little bit lower. I believe they were 11th coming into today, so not exactly sure what the result was or who they beat. Maybe it was Renascore, because Renascore had 10 games played earlier, but nevertheless, Exen climbing their way 1 spot higher in the standings as they look to climb themselves out of a hole after they came in as one of the championship favorites coming into the season. But this isn't about Exen or any of the teams on the right side of this graphic. This is about the 2 teams at number 5 and number 7, Voittamaton and the Blackjacks. We will take a look at the matchup comparison between these 2 teams coming in as Voittamaton just continuing to be as dominant as ever. Great offense paired with elite defense and goaltending is what Voittamaton has been known for over the years. They come into this game averaging 3.28 goals for per game. They only allow 1.83, which is second best in the league. The goals for per game is 3rd best. This is bar none one of the best teams in the league. They have been forever. That's not changing anytime soon, barring any roster changes. And for the Blackjacks, just typical steady Blackjacks, right? Right in the middle of the league, right around that 6th, 7th, 8th playoff spot. Not necessarily a dynamic offensive scoring team, but not a team that's, you know, with goal scoring woes either. Not necessarily a dominant defensive team, but not a team that's going to get run over. It's just kind of your steady Eddie of the group, really. That's kind of what Blackjacks has been known for a long time. They're consistent. You know what they're going to get out of what you're going to get out of them, and they're a team that more times than not know how to play against these top end teams such as Voittamaton. I mean, if you remember last season during our spring 23 year, they pushed Valokoitainen all the way to 7 games, and Valokoitainen is a lot of that Parasite team that is undefeated right now. So this is a Blackjacks team that can compete with anyone. Should lead to a fun pair of games here today as we will meet the players from each of these 2 sides for the Blackjacks and Voittamaton, your 2 starting lineup. As we'll start out with the Blackjacks over on the left side, the forward trio, Kermit at left wing, Angel Kuru at center, and Timothy at right wing. While back on defense, it'll be Tony on the left side and Psycho Skills on the right. And Kosti in between the pipes in net. While for Voittamaton, your typical group that you've seen over the years with a couple of little tweaks here and there, the forward trio of Tempinen, Patzlaff, and Eki as usual. The left defense in Yamal the man, the transfer this season coming in. He'll be with Flyer Kungen over at that right D side. And then last but not least, Sibelius in between the pipes. No Hanselino today. Sibelius going to be manning in goal for Voittamaton, who, by the way, Sibelius, a very accomplished goaltender in his own right. So someone that the Blackjacks are going to have to really be diligent about trying to break through him. Positions. We'll start out with the centers. Angel Kuru versus Patzlaff. Angel Kuru, only one game played so far this season. Didn't have a point in that one game, but nevertheless, someone that's been around in the league for a long time, is rather familiar with the elite division, is rather familiar with some of his teams on the Blackjacks, and, someone that can come in and maybe make an impact. Maybe not someone that's normally in the lineup. He's coming in for Jurvillain at that center spot, but nevertheless, he's familiar with this team. He's familiar with the elite division. Certainly someone to look out for in between the middle, while Patzlaff just continuing to do what he does. Maybe not the highest point tally we've ever seen from him, but arguably one of the best two-way centers in the league, coming back after not being with this team last season, took a season off, and has come back and has looked as good as ever. So Patzlaff going to be a lot of fun to watch here with the two wingers next to him. So we'll take a look at that winger matchup here. As on the left side, Kermit Timothy. Kermit really going to be the one to look out for. Leads this team with 34 points, 19 goals, 15 assists. It feels like he's always kind of the one that the Blackjacks look towards to make that big play. One of the captains on this team, someone that has been around the league for a while, and in my opinion, one of the more underrated forwards that you'll find in the elite division. So someone that the Voittamaton are going to have an eye on. While over on the right side, Tempinen and Eki continuing to be dominant offensive forces. With Eki, it doesn't matter where you put him, wing, center, defense. He could maybe even mess around and play goalie one year if he wanted to. He would still probably be one of the best in the league. They continue to be dominant and really put up solid point production. Tempinen, someone else I think that really can be underrated. Obviously, someone that's been known to be a solid player on the 1v1 side, has really emerged on the sixes side as well. Someone that definitely deserves his flowers, has kind of established himself with this Voittamaton group over the last few years, especially since the departure of Playmaker, who hasn't played in the last couple of years. So Tempinen and Eki going to be a lot of fun to watch against Kermit and Timothy, who have a lot of chemistry as well. Now back with the defensive pairings for these two teams. And again, Tony and Psycho Skills, two guys with a lot of chemistry, two guys that have been here for a while. Again, just two really solid defenders. But the interesting thing that I think that you see with these two is the hit difference. Obviously, 28 hits for Tony, 21 for Psycho Skills. Compare that to Yamal and Flyer Kungen on the other side. 65 hits for Yamal, 66 for Flyer Kungen. And you think of Voittamaton, and I feel like you don't typically think of a team that is super physical. I think when you think of the physical teams, you kind of think about Goons, you think about maybe Fallon Coal Miners or Totori, but Voittamaton, they rank 5th in the league in hits coming into the season with 241, and these two make up for half of them. So going to be a lot of fun to see maybe how they try to disrupt this TBJ offense, especially, again, with the two wingers of Kermit and Timothy that can be dangerous over on their side. Just going to be something to look out for here in these two games. And then last but not least, the goaltending duel. Two goalies that I'm sure many of you plenty familiar with that are usuals in Kosti and Sibelius. The stats maybe not necessarily blowing you away, but Kosti's someone that is a lot better than what the stats would tell you. That 77.3 save percentage, I think, a little bit misleading. He's someone that came in last season and really did some pretty good work in the past. I mean, Kosti is someone that has been a solid goaltender in the past. He was solid with Vesapampa last year, 78 save percentage, so maybe not high-end level, but the season before that with Vesapampa, he was right around an 83 save percentage. So a down year potentially for Kosti in terms of the stats, but someone that really can steal his team a game or two. And then obviously Sibelius is someone that's been around forever. Has been around the championship teams and has helped contribute to championships back in the days with Havu Gaming. You see the Havu hoodie on him right there. Be a lot of fun to see two veterans of the game go up against each other against two veteran teams. So going to be a lot of fun to see that matchup. As now our keys to the game for both of these two sides, starting out with the Blackjacks. Firstly, remember that one play can be the difference. This is a Blackjacks team that have lost a lot of close games, a lot of one-goal games, multiple overtime games, and you just feel like, hey, if a play here goes differently, a mistake here isn't made, this is a team that potentially could be a little bit higher in the standings. You look at the record, 4 wins in regulation, 4 in overtime, 2 overtime losses, 4 or 5 regulation losses. This is a team that has lost a lot of close games. So they're going to have to try to remember that one play can be the difference. Limit those mistakes as much as possible. Next, find that extra goal scoring. This is a team that has been limited to 1 or 2 goals in a lot of their games this year. This is not a team in Voittamaton that you can afford that against. They're going to have to score more than 2 to beat this team more times than not. They're going to have to find that extra goal support somewhere. And lastly, stay disciplined in all areas of the game. Few teams capitalize on mistakes better than Voittamaton. They're one of the best at it. They've made a living on it in this division for years now. TBJ, a team that typically can limit the mistakes, but they're going to have to remember to stay disciplined positionally, stay disciplined in their decisions. It's going to be a big key for them. Voittamaton, on the other side of things, again, a veteran team that capitalizes on opportunities. They're going to have to continue to do that here today. Do not get complacent. If you have a shot, take it. There's times where Voittamaton can get a little bit complacent in terms of the offensive game, passing it around, looking for that perfect play. Don't be afraid to rip that puck on net. You never know how you might get rewarded. And finally, don't give Kermit space. Kermit is the leading goal scorer for this TBJ team. 19 goals coming into this one. So many times we see he could be the spark plug for this Blackjack squad, turn a little innocent mistake into a big goal on the other side. We've seen him kill so many teams within the past. Voittamaton going to have to try to make sure to limit Kermit, not give him space, and not give him opportunities to get his game going on the offensive end. As the 2 teams have matched and are getting things ready as we speak, so we'll have puck drop here in just about 30 seconds. As you can see, they're rocking and ready to go. The Blackjacks versus Voittamaton, game number 3 of our 4 games of coverage here today. The Blackjacks will be on the road for this one, wearing their all gray uniforms, while Voittamaton in the beautiful electric blues, one of my favorite uniforms, I think, in the ECL Elite Division so far this season. We'll be looking at the perspective of the Blackjacks. We're underway here for game number 1 of this 2-game series, and immediately Voittamaton on the attack with Eki. A pass in front. Nearly made the play that Patslav, but it was saved there by Kosti. Voittamaton, just 44 seconds in, wasting no time, already a dangerous chance. Face off to the right side of Kosti, 1 in the offensive zone by Voittamaton. Shot on, save made by Kosti. He'll hold on for a whistle. Voittamaton pouncing right out of the gate. Another offensive draw here for Voittamaton. 1 over by the Blackjacks, and now they counter the other side. Nice little toe drag move there from Styko Skills. Another shot on was saved quickly there by Sibelia. So both of these 2 teams wasting no time. A pair of opportunities for Voittamaton, and now TBJ with a few opportunities of their own right. Face off 1 over to the winger. Kermit could not keep control of that. Pass back to Patslav now as Voittamaton in the offensive end. Pass across, one-timer, sprawling, and that was Kosti. He makes the save and robbed Eki there on a great chance. Boy, the goaltenders are getting their work early in this one. Already 5 shots in 3.5 minutes between these 2 teams. Another shot on. This time it was blocked in front. That was a play made there by Angel Kuru. Voittamaton breaks back into the offensive end. Fire Kungan at the point, goes down to Eki. Now it's going to actually go to Patslav behind the net. Puck loose over on the right side. Picked up, passing to the high point, but it's blocked in front of the shot. Voittamaton still in possession, shot on, they score. The pass across in front, capitalizing on that one, was Fire Kungan. He went down, made the play. Excuse me, that's Tempinen actually, excuse me. And Voittamaton, after the quick start, score early, a 1-0 lead, and that was a tough goal in a lot of traffic. That was a lot of contact Tony was putting on him, was in perfect position. Tempinen just able to kind of muscle his way through and just got enough of it, got the shot on. Kosti not able to get there, and so 1-0 lead early for Voittamaton over the Blackjacks. Voittamaton takes possession. Eki in control in the neutral zone. Gives it over to Yamal, but it's going to be called offside as he tried to dish it right back to Eki. Face off in the neutral zone. Controlled by the Blackjacks as they look to counter after allowing that one goal early. Can they get it here? Trying to get it through the middle, but it's turned over. A nice play there from Yamal to break that one up. Slav has in the neutral zone. Dumps it in. Picked up and given chase by Templeton. Has a chance in front. Puck loose. Picked up, however, by the Blackjacks, but it's turned over immediately. Eki controlling it behind the net, but he lost it. Nice play there made by the defender. Psycho skills to get that off of his stick. Fire Kungan gets it after the turnover. Control by Yamal. Up to Patslav. Patslav makes a move. Backhand shot. Save made by Kosti. He'll hold on to stop play. Voittamaton already up to 6 shots here in this first period. Face off in the defensive zone of the Blackjacks to the right side of Kosti. Picked up by Voittamaton. Shot on. Backhanded by Templeton. Save made by Kosti. Another chance. The puck loose in front. Trying to find it. Is on Helkuru, and he does. Blackjacks able to get it out of their own zone and avoid any danger. Controlled by Psycho Skills to the point. Rings it around down low to Timothy. Trying to pass it in front. Got a good shot on. Looks like that one's going to be held on to by Sibelius. It's not even going to be a registered shot on that either. 7:50 to play here in period number 1. Voittamaton with the early lead. Templeton right out the scoring. Voittamaton wins the defensive zone face-off. It finds its way to Eki. And now here comes Yamal on the other end. And a little bit of a miscommunication as Templeton was antsy on that one, and now will be called offsides. The shot difference, 7-2 in favor of Voittamaton so far. Blackjack's going to try to look to find some more pressure here. Voittamaton back on the attack. A chance there in front to Eki, but he couldn't get control of that puck. Now here comes TBJ on the other end. Here comes Timothy. Back to Psycho Skills. Puck loose in front. Finds his way over to the side to TBJ, but it's turned over. And here comes Eki, giving it up over to his teammate in Yamal the man. Yamal gets it back down low. Pass across in front. He tried to hit Templeton, but he couldn't find him cleanly. Here comes Angel Kuru on the other end. Dumped down low. Given chase. Finds them. Turned over almost immediately. Voittamaton doing a great job in their own end, denying the Blackjacks of any good shots on net. The Blackjacks in control of possession with Psycho Skills giving it up. Kermit has it. Pass over the point. Shot on was saved by Sibelius. Psycho Skills on the attempt. 90 seconds to play here in period number 1. Voittamaton has the 1-goal advantage. Blackjacks looking to respond here late in the first period. 40 seconds now. Templeton skates up. Had a chance. Couldn't find that pass, though, cleanly. Another opportunity here for Voittamaton in possession. Eki, the pass across. Could not find this man Templeton, who was trying to creep in. Another shot. This one blocked in front from the point. And that will do it for the opening frame of this 2-game series. Voittamaton with the 1-0 lead. It was this goal right here from Templeton on the pass across. It gave them that 1-goal advantage. Kosti not able to get there. Zeki found his fellow winger to give his team the 1-goal advantage. Get a quick glance there at the stats. Voittamaton pretty much in control so far in terms of the possession game and in terms of the offensive opportunities. We'll get another look at that goal Boy, how about that play there from Eki? Traffic surrounding him. Two bodies in front to get that pass off. Perfectly threaded to get that over to Tempinen. And you would have thought that Tony would have maybe gotten to that puck. He was well positioned, had the body on Tempinen pretty well there, but not able to get a piece of that puck. Tempinen capitalizes, puts it in the back of the net. Voittamaton with that 1-goal lead, but the Blackjacks trying to find that tying goal. They have it right now. Tennessee dumps that down low. It's given chase and found by Flyer Kungen for Voittamaton. Gives it up to Eki with speed up the left boards. Stop and go move, but to no avail. He's going to have to be forced to reset. He gets it back from Flyer Kungen. Pass over to Patslav. Patslav behind the net, gives it up. Holding it right now is Tempinen, looking for space. Back to Patslav. Patslav looking. Back over to Eki. Nice cycle here from Voittamaton, looking to space out the defense of the Blackjacks, but to no avail as they turn it over. A nice poke check there to disrupt that play. Voittamaton gets it back, however. As that pass going to go awry, and that's going to force a reset. 5 minutes in the period number 2. Voittamaton continuing to pick up where they left off in period 1. Going to possession, earning opportunities, not allowing the Blackjacks to counter with much. Turn it over right there. Now the Blackjacks look to work it into the offensive end. Kermit, back to Tony. Back to Kermit at the left side. Kermit looking for some space, looking for a pass, and gives up to Psycho Skills, who tries to go down to the right boards. Nobody was home to pick that pass up, and now Voittamaton looking to take it on the other end. Eki, poke checked away, didn't have much. It's turned over by Blackjacks, and it's shot on, and the puck trickles its way past the left pad of Kosti. It's goal number 2 for Tempinen, and it's a 2-goal advantage for Voittamaton here in the second period. As you get a look at the replay, it looked pretty innocent and rather harmless, but then see the replay, Kosti, he didn't get all of that save. Puck was loose, just trickled in between that left pad and the left post. Unfortunate break for him. But Voittamaton not complaining. A 2-goal advantage here in the second period. You can't say it isn't deserved. They've been the dominant team so far in this one. The Blackjacks still looking to find answers. So we approach the halfway point of this game. So here come the Blackjacks trying to respond on the other end, but couldn't keep it in the offensive zone for long. They do get it back, however, in the neutral zone. Dumped into Timothy. Psycho Skills to the point. Back to Timothy at the right boards, but it's poke checked away. Nice play from Tempinen. He's been all over the ice tonight on both ends. Eki with a nice move. Gets it back. Tried to get the one-timer over to Tempinen for the hat-trick goal. Nice break up there by the Blackjacks to disrupt it. Here they come on the other end now. Controlled by Psycho Skills to the point. Pass on Kuru. Tried to pass it across. Puck loose in front. Picked up by Sibelius. That was Angel Kuru and Kermit trying to work that play, but it just did not find all of that puck to put it on net. Offensive zone face-off, however, now coming up for the Blackjacks. They win it clean. Tony to Kermit, back to Tony at the point. Has some space, holding it, puts a shot on, and that's blocked away by Sibelius. Kermit gets it back. Another shot, swept away this time by Sibelius to the opposite side boards, and now here comes Voittamaton on the other end. Turned over, however. Kuru in control. Dumps into the offensive end, and the Blackjacks gonna just hit the brakes and catch their breath a little bit here. Voittamaton trying to get it in past the blue line. They do. Tempinen to Eki. Shot on. Puck loose in front. Still there. Patslav gets it. Operating behind the net and gives it up to Flyer Kungen at the point. Skates in. Finds Eki. Eki down low. Pass in front. Shot on. Blocked. Tempinen still for another shot. Save. Eki with it now over at the left post. Passed it over to Patslav. Voittamaton working with pace. Moving it around rampantly right now. Back behind the net. Patslav looking, pass in front, shot on, save made. Another shot, another save by Kosti. Tempinen with a pair of opportunities, but denied by the goaltending of Kosti, and he'll hold on for a well-deserved stoppage. And the Blackjacks going to try to calm things down and take a timeout here. How about the play in the offensive end, however, from Voittamaton? Working that puck around, forcing the Blackjacks to move and really kind of disorganize themselves as they continue to kind of work that puck. Polski stepping up with a few big saves there as Voittamaton continues to control the game, forcing the Blackjacks to play within their style. Face-off won by Voittamaton in the offensive zone. Flyer-Kungen lost it, however, at the point. Kermit got it, but he took a massive hit there on the boards. He's slow to get up and is injured. Little things going right for the Blackjacks so far in this one. Turned over nearly from Sibelius, but Voittamaton avoids danger. Eki with a chance. Spin move, poke checked away. Nice play there from Psycho Skills. Tony gets it and finds Kermit. Psycho Skills moving up as a forward now. Finds Kermit, shot on, save made from Sibelius. Here comes Voittamaton. They have numbers, 5-on-3. Here comes Eki, moving it in, pass in front. Patslav, backhand shot saved off the stick. 6 seconds to go. One more chance for Voittamaton in the period. Tempinen has it, shot from the point. Glove saved by Kosti, denies Flyer-Kungen with 0.6 seconds remaining as we'll have a stoppage. One more face-off that Voittamaton likely not able to get a chance on, but you know, we've seen crazy things happen around here, so you never know. Get a look at the hit again that Kermit took a few minutes ago. Big lick on the boards. Back to full health now, but hamper him there a little bit on the rush. Face-off won by the Blackjacks, but that will do it for the end of the second period. It's a 2-0 Voittamaton lead. Both goals courtesy of Tempinen. His 22nd and 23rd goals of the season leads this Voittamaton team, who are in full control of this game so far through 40 minutes. You only got a quick glance there at the stats, but 13 shots to 6 in favor of Voittamaton. Only 3 minutes of time on attack as well for the Blackjacks. So you have to try to find a way to generate more offense and just force Voittamaton to feel a little bit more pressure. Kind of just feels like Voittamaton is playing within their game. Sorry for maybe a little bit of a spurt here and a little bit of a spurt there. We'll have to see how the Blackjacks adjust, but Voittamaton so far playing just as well as you would typically expect them to. A 2-0 lead, 2 periods in. Big shout out and thank you to our sponsor, COVID on Lakritsi, for their generous support of everything we do here at the ECL. Voittamaton has it in the offensive end. Controlled by Yamal, but he's going to draw a penalty and a power play coming up now for Voittamaton, a tripping. Going to be called against Psycho Skills. So Voittamaton on the power play here coming up. They can take advantage. Shot on the one-timer, save made. That was Tempinen on the pass from Eki. Voittamaton 26.9% on the power play so far this season. Eki in control. Another one-timer. This time it was saved once again. Another chance there. Patslav got it. It was blocked in front. Lots of pressure from Voittamaton here early on this man advance. A pass across a shot and puck loose, block it away. And the Blackjacks finally get it out. But it's only for a moment. There's another shot and he scores! Flyer-Kungen putting on the moves and he puts the lead to 3 for Voittamaton. How about Flyer-Kungen? He might be a defender this season, but he's still got those winger moves. And I was just looking at the PK number for the Blackjack. They were 76.4% coming into the day. Voittamaton, as we mentioned, 26.9%. You can push it to 27% after that beautiful goal there from Flyer Kungen. A 3-0 advantage. Triples that Voittamaton lead, and the Blackjacks now really going to have to get things going quickly, as a tripping penalty going to be called here against Yamal the man. So maybe a bit of a lifeline being thrown to the Blackjacks, as that'll put them on the man advantage. Voittamaton, a perfect 80% on the penalty kill so far this season. The Blackjacks on the power play, 33%. That ranks top 5 in the league. They need one here desperately. Can they capitalize on the mistake from Voittamaton? Turned over, potential breakaway. This is Tempinen. Shot on, save made by Kosti. Keeps his team alive and comes up with a massive save there. That would have very well have killed any chance of a comeback for the Blackjacks. Can they reward their goaltender here with a power play goal? Kermit controls it. Gives it to Timothy. Back to Kermit. Behind the net. Looks back left side. Now to Psycho Skill. Shot on. Tipped in front, but blocked actually well wide. Another shot. This one swept away by Sibelius. 15 seconds to go on the power play for the Blackjacks as Voittamaton clears it out. Puck and chase. Found by Psycho Skills. Out of the box now is Yamal. That'll bring things back to 5-on-5 action. We're 6v6. We like to include the goalies around here. There are people too. Voittamaton has it in the neutral zone, but turns it over. Picked up by Tony. Now to Kermit. Shot on. Blocked away by Sibelius. Tony in control. Down to the Timothy. Rings it around to the boards, but nobody home there at that right point. That's going to force a reset for the Blackjacks. It's been the story of the day. Just not able to take advantage of good opportunities. Turned over in the offensive zone. Here comes Voittamaton again. The ball in control of it. Gives it to Eki at the high slot. Eki trying to drive his way in. Stops, gives it down low over to Potzloff behind the net. Shot on, weird animation, but a blocker save nevertheless from Kosti, and he will hold on and freeze the puck with 10:36 remaining here in regulation. The Blackjacks in dire straits. Voittamaton trying to coast their way to another 3-point victory. Psycho Skills, showing the skills, moves his way into the offensive end. Behind the net, he has it. Trying to get past that 4-man box there of Voittamaton, struggling to do so as Voittamaton forces the turnover. Here comes Potzloff on the other end. Nice little windmill deke. Finds his way back to the point. Arkunin with it. Shot was blocked, found its way to Eki, however. Potzloff now with it, back to Arkunin at the point. Holds it now over at the left corner board, trying to find space. Gave it up to Tempinen high. Shot on from the high point, was blocked in front. And here comes the Blackjacks now on the other end. 7 minutes to play. Here in regulation. Shot from the point, blocked in front. Nice job there from Tempinen to get a piece of that one. Blackjacks still pressuring. Trying to drive that in with Psycho Skills, but it was turned over. Slav in control at the neutral zone. Couldn't keep it for long, however. A nice job there from Psycho Skills again. He's really stepped up in this third period for TBJ. Less than 5 minutes to play. Voittamaton holding on to that 3-goal lead. Looking well on their way to a victory here. Things can keep trending in this direction. Controlling the offensive end. Yamal to Eki. Eki. The left corner board goes down low to Potzloff. Potzloff behind the net, rings it around the Flower Kunin at the right corner board now. Goes to Tempinen. To Potzloff. Potzloff looking for something, but it's turned over. Nice defensive pressure there from the